Morning, Raptor Freak. Alexiot's here. Saturday morning. Good morning, Saturday, July the 2nd. It's Saturday, so we do Share Love Club, which all stems from something that Gary Trent Jr. said at the end of the season in his post-season interview about Scotty Barnes and the way that he loves everybody on the team, and he's always giving hugs, and he's always just trying to share the love. And, well, that inspired me to do Saturday segments called the Share the Love Club, and today I want to share the love with really a real one, guys. This is a dude who is Canadian. Grew up in Montreal. He was a Toronto Raptors fan when he was a kid. He's somebody who's on Team Canada. He was there at the game yesterday. He's just a real one. And this past week has been really disheartening with the amount of people on social media and on the internet putting him down, saying things about him that he's not useful anymore, that we can get rid of him, that we can trade him, do whatever with him. I don't like any of that because I'll tell you right now, Khem Birch is an essential good player to have on our team for all kinds of good reasons. And I know I sound like a broken record when I talk about Khem Birch. I've sounded like this since the beginning of last season, that I had to keep telling people back then the merits and great things about Khem Birch's personality, his basketball game, and what he brings to the Toronto Raptors. And it's something that we didn't have a lot of. Now, because we're getting more of it now, doesn't mean that he's expendable. And that's what I'm trying to say this week, y'all. This is disrespectful in some ways, but I expect this from a certain amount of the Raptors fan nation, that they're just immature and silly and crazy, and they want it now, mommy. They want it Veruca Salt style, where they're just like, it has to happen now, and everything has to happen. Like, it's evidenced by what's going on right now with the Kevin Durant thing right now. It's like there's a couple of different sides of people on this. Some people are like, get him, go do anything. We don't care. We'll sell the farm for him. We'll sell half of our team. We'll send Scotty Barnes for him. And then half of us are kind of like, you know what? We don't want an aged man for our young rookie who has a long period of time. It's all perspective and understanding what different things you would get with different things. Well, what I'm going to say right now is that Khem Birch is an important role player, an important person on the Raptors roster, and that people need to stop discounting him and slandering him the way they have in this past week. Monique is here already. I love what Monique is saying. She said so much free agent talks to talk yet again. We got whatever you guys want to talk about that happened yesterday. There's so much. And of course, I'm going to name that name in a little bit, and we're going to talk about him, the mid-level exception the Raptors went and got yesterday, because it's absolutely outstanding. In a million years, I never would have thought that he was going to re-sign with us. I really, really thought the Warriors were going to try and retain him, and he would take that veteran minimum, but nope, he wanted a little bit more money, and he wanted a different opportunity, so he came to Toronto. And that is Otto Porter Jr. That's right. That is our mid-level exception. And I'm going to go into all of the great reasons why this is a fantastic move. This is a championship winning kind of move. Acquiring Otto Porter Jr. and doing what we did yesterday. Amazing. Monique's also saying, yes, Nick Nurse, go Canada. That's another thing that happened yesterday. Canada successfully defeated Dominican Republic in Hamilton in the old Cops Coliseum with Nick Nurse at the helm, and SGA and his cousin, Nikel, killing it for Team Canada. It really was the SGA show. He was fantastic on both ends of the court, as far as like he was dominant scoring in the second half, and he was really, really good defensively also. Just really, really awesome to see the good success of Team Canada and the great turnout by the fans in Hamilton. There was a great crowd there, very lively and fun environment, and just really a great successful game in Hamilton all around for Team Canada, winning it, and also just having a great turnout and just good vibes on the team, good things going on. congratulations, Nick Nurse. And now you guys got to go play Virgin Islands on Monday. So they're going to go travel and play this next game also. Monique's also saying one more week until Jeremy Lin's celebrity basketball game. Go check it out if you can. Go see him play with Simu Liu from the movies and TV. And yeah, that's fun. That's always fun. We'll talk about him probably closer to it a little bit more. And then I like this. Monique has some insider information. And this is particularly about our subject today, Khem Birch. Now, we know Khem last season, part of the reason why he gets so much grief is just like Fred, he had a bad knee last year. He had a hard time staying healthy and being there regularly throughout the season. There were a few Raptors that this happened with. You know, whether it's OG, Fred, Khem, there were big chunks of the season where we were missing them. And that's why I want y'all to understand how we can tell how much these guys are important is because their absence is felt. And we felt it when Fred was gone. We felt it when OG was gone. And we did feel it when Khem was gone also. Don't get it twisted. We really did. And I love what Monique's saying here. Monique's got these pipelines of information all of a sudden where she's finding out stuff directly from people like Nathaniel Mitchell and people like the Harpers and different people like that. I love it. So Monique is saying, talk to Khem's trainer, Henry Wu. And he says he feels stronger and very eager for training camp like now, Lex. So this is a fantastic news. I don't even know how long it's been since he had the surgery, which was right after the season ended. So what? It's been almost 2 months. Now this man is saying he's already healed and he's ready to go to training camp for the Raptors right now. Fantastic. Don't take any risks playing for Team Canada too early now. It seems like maybe he could have played for Team Canada from what we're hearing from Monique. But yeah, it is going to be very good to see a healthy Khem Birch come into training camp. Unlike last season where he had coronavirus at the very beginning of the season, then he had his problems with his knee swelling up, and then also he had his nose dented in, remember, by Detroit, where that could have been fatal, where you get your nose pushed into your brain. So Khem had a very up and down tumultuous season with injuries, and that wasn't all totally his fault. So I want you guys to stop dumping on him and also realize this: by getting Otto Porter yesterday, we have signaled that we are full in on being a fully big team all around. That, listen, this may be the case with Fred VanVleet. He's the last one that's going to be able to play for us that's a certain height. That Malachi, I'm sorry, even if you do super, super well this year, and maybe you're gone anyway, just because the Raptors have a certain wingspan, they have a certain size to each one of their players. And then everybody who thinks that we're doing something weird as far as NBA people in the US, fans of other teams in the US, and people like that are saying, what the hell are the Raptors doing? They have so many wings. Yeah, we like wings. Go watch my clip on Wednesday. We like wings. We like all the flavors of wings. In fact, we got so many flavors of wings in Toronto now. You need to go to the wing shop or some sort of wing retailer store, like a place you can buy chicken wings, and go get their menu so you can read all the flavors, because you can't keep up with the amount of flavors of wings that the Raptors have in Toronto at this point. That's what we're all about, baby. If you listen, our whole bench is basically going to be 6'7" coming off the bench, and it's just going to be pick different 6'7" guy off the bench to come in and replace the guy who's in the game. And this is fantastic. I love it. It's going to be so fun. And there's Tom Duke coming in right here with he's got the tea, he's got the cup, he's got the big smiles, he's got the other cup for me, he's got a very happy kind of cry face, like it's emotional, and then 100% Canadian. Automatic. Yes, it's automatic. Yes, it's automatic. I love that song. That's what, Pointer Sisters or something? It's automatic. Oh man, yeah, that's some old good jam. And we got a good jam coming in to Toronto with Otto Porter Jr. Y'all, listen, holy crap. This is a man who's been killing the Raptors at different times earlier in his career on the Washington Wizards. He's been around for so long. Sometimes I have these weird feelings feelings about players way ahead of before time. Like I had a weird feeling about Kyle Lowry way before he ever was in a Raptors jersey. When he was in Houston, I had a weird feeling about Kyle Lowry. I don't know if I have a little bit of prevision. I don't know if I have a little foresight. I don't know if I am partly a seer. And maybe that is a good reason why I'm good at what I'm doing here on this channel. But I had a feeling about Kyle Lowry. Like at some point in the mid 2000s, I had a fantasy basketball team that had Kyle Lowry, Mark Gasol, Serge Ibaka, and Jeremy Lin in it. And this was in like 2009, something like that, y'all. I'm not lying. I had like had 5 of our NBA Raptors champions from 2019 on my fantasy team. I've always had weird feelings, like pre-visual feelings about certain players in the league, and Otto Porter Jr. is one of them, y'all. That for years I've always like, what if Otto was on Toronto? Or there's something about Otto that makes me think that he's going to be in Toronto someday, and it's going to be huge. And I think that day has come yesterday. That Otto Porter Jr. has been pre-visualized in my head to be going towards getting a championship in Toronto. And I'm not kidding. This is something that I pre-visualized with Serge Ibaka and Kyle Lowry ahead of time from like years and years ago. So he's one of these dudes. So I'm really happy to see him show up. I mean, what is there not to like? The man's coming off of a championship with the Golden State Warriors, and he is coming straight to us. And that says something about our organization, that he wanted to be here because of our organization. He wanted to be here because apparently his wife has Toronto ties, and that this makes her happy. I mean, the U.S. is a dumpster fire. We can understand why you want to come to Canada, Otto Porter Jr. You don't have to give us any excuses or anything like that. But there's other hidden things about Otto Porter Jr. coming here that you guys don't realize. That he played on the Chicago Bulls from 2019 for 2 years, 2 seasons, 2019 season, 2020 season with Thaddeus Young on the Bulls. They were teammates for 2 years together. And so they have a very strong familiarity. In fact, now these guys, Thad Young and Otto Porter Jr., are kind of like this team of older vet, kind of elder statesmen on the Raptors team. And that there's a familiarity with Otto Porter and Thad Young that you guys don't realize. But also, it may be that Thad Young was talking to Otto Porter and saying, dude, Toronto's really got it going good, man. I just came up here, got traded for Goran, and man, this seriously is the best organization in the NBA. And he's like, Otto's like, really? Really? That's that good? He's like, yeah. See, I'm telling you, there's got to be something that has to do with Thad Young helping to maybe convince Otto Porter to come here also, because they probably do have some sort of connection as old, long-standing, good-standing vets. Now, don't even get me started on the reasons why this is a good move for the team on the court. As far as spacing, as far as we got what we wanted, but we still kept to our mold of the kind of player that we want, which is the long wingspan, the good defensive, the versatility, but now we have a career 40% three-point shooter. That is what Otto Porter Jr. is, a reliable three-point shooter. And he's going to bring so many different things and good things like that. Like also another thing on the down low is he's a number 3 pick in the NBA draft. He was actually drafted higher than Scotty Barnes. He's the highest draft pick on the Raptors roster with his arrival yesterday. And in some ways, that is good also for Scotty. Because this is, listen, it's different when you're a top 5 lottery pick in the league. And that Otto can understand the pressures of a younger player from his younger days as a number 3 pick in the draft. That Scotty has different kinds of pressures. So there's so many good things about this. Honestly, the reason why I didn't even mention Otto Porter Jr. when we were talking about possible MLE targets in the last couple of days is because I didn't even think that was realistic. I was like, this is like shooting the moon, kind of like over the wow, like way above and beyond if we were to get his name. And that's why I didn't even mention him. It's like we saw all these great MLE players get snatched up on Thursday night. And we're like, who's going to be left for us? Well, Well, let's just say it may be the most best one that we could have got. The one that just fits every single category, every single need, every single thing that we needed in that one spot. And not only that, we kept a little bit of money. We can still sign somebody else, as crazy as that sounds. So then I started doing the math. I'm doing a little bit of a Brian Windhurst right now because honestly, this dude was impressive yesterday. I don't know if you've seen the Brian Windhurst segment from yesterday. The man deducing stuff. That is kind of what I do. He's deducing things about Utah and figuring out why these things happen. Well, I'm deducing something right now, and it isn't exactly what I like. We have so many players on the Raptors roster right now. We're going to make a trade. And that this thing that they're talking about with Kevin Durant could be very realistically real for us. Not for, like, seriously, that in some ways, some of the things, like I'm going to do a Brian Windhurst thing right here. Like, listen, the fact that Scotty Barnes is in LA with Bill Duffy this week in the chaos of this free agency, the fact that the Raptors have stackpiled like 14 or 15 good role players on their team that are not all going to be able to make the team makes me think that they are going to make a big, huge trade. And that they're going to be sending 2 or 3 players for one player to make the roster size right. That's what I'm saying, y'all, because they have too many players at this point. They have too many, and that it may be smart to consolidate 2 or 3 really good players into one super good player named Kevin Durant. And it's not that I want this deal, it's just that the settings are very much looking right for this. And there's more and more buzz about this. Now, Scotty should be untouchable in this deal. In fact, I've actually heard that Kevin may be saying from the other end, I won't come to Toronto if Scotty's not still in Toronto. That he specifically, if he does come to Toronto, wants to pair up with Scotty Barnes. So it's really interesting and weird that's going on. Wojciechowski is saying that Toronto is lurking in the background for the Kevin Durant sweepstakes, and that until this gets settled, we are very much in the thick of this trade talk for Kevin. And that means that some of our guys may be going somewhere. I hate to say this, but this may be something. Masai may be trying to work some magic right now. So it's going to be very interesting. G's saying there's some great stats with him playing versus not playing. You're talking about with Otto, and we're also talking about Khem Birch. Because, yeah, we have a much higher winning percentage when Khem Birch is in our lineup. We have better rebounding. We have better screen set. We have better low post defense. We have the ability to seal people out. Like, I just flipped my calendar in my room, and I have a Raptors calendar, and they make these way ahead of time. And the person for July 2022 is Aaron Baines. I have to look at Aaron Baines on my bedroom wall for this whole freaking month. And it reminds me why I love Khem Birch. That is what I'll tell you right now. It reminds me why I love Khem Birch is because he does what Aaron Baines couldn't do for us in Tampa as far as seal the defensive presence around the basket and not just letting people come right into the lane and just score like Lloyd on 2K on Next Gen. That's what I'm saying with Scotty Barnes on his Twitch, that we need this guy because he stopped the bleeding. That is who Khem Birch was. He was the epitome in the Tampa season of the man who stopped the bleeding. And to him, I'll be forever grateful, him and Freddie Gillespie, because that is exactly what they did when they finally arrived in the middle of the Tampa year. We had nothing down low. And that is, I will always love Khem Birch for that. And I always love him for being a real one and being a Raptor fan since being a kid and living his dream and playing on the Raptors at this point. Like, why do you guys want to crush his dream? Do you guys have dreams in your own life? You want to go be a firefighter or an astronaut or something? You want somebody to take that dream away from you just because they're sitting at home talking about it? Khem Birch loves playing for the Raptors. It's been his dream as a child. How many players have been, is my dream to play for the Lakers? Is my dream to play for the Celtics? Well, we finally have a player that says their dream is to play for the Raptors, and y'all want to toss them out with the garbage. What the fuck is wrong with y'all? Let's let a good role player, a good player that's on our team that adds value, that does good things for us, who does important things for us. Why do we have to try and get rid of him? Y'all need to stop and understand the value of Khem Birch and share the love for him today. Share the love for him and Wendy. Wendy is an amazing mother and such a good mother, good NBA mom with her podcast and all the different things. And just Khem is a good young man. He's just a nice guy. He doesn't deserve this kind of crap from idiots, from trolls, from fake bot accounts, from different people online and stuff like that. And I hope he doesn't hear any of the noise. And he knows deep down inside that he has Messiah's approval and he's taken care of and that he's going to be a Raptor. Now, with these trade talks, who knows? He's been a little bit of a bargaining chip put in there. It's like that's part of the problem with all this trade talk is that it kind of makes players worry. That's part of the reason why we have such a strength is our GMs are saying, well, no, we're not going to do anything unless we tell you, don't worry. But if they do something, they're going to make it really worthwhile. But otherwise, we're not trying to just move frivolously and stuff like that. So, oh my gosh. Monique's saying, good signing, Tom. Go Otto. Let's go. It's amazing signing. I mean, seriously, it is not what I thought was going to happen. And when I saw it, I was like, I couldn't believe it. I had to slap myself. I was like, is that true? I had to pinch myself. I'm like, is this true? In fact, yesterday, Chris Boucher got on Twitch. He advertised, I was like, I'm going to do Twitch. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to watch Slim Duck this time. Since I'm watching Scotty all the time, why don't I watch Chris Boucher now that he's got his new contract? I want to congratulate him. And I got in there and I'm talking to him. He just got online and he's different. He's really good at COD. I'm not going to lie. I told him he's better at COD than Scotty Barnes because I'm telling you, Chris has got a shot in that game. Like he can really nail some people in that Call of Duty game. But anyway, what I was telling Chris is like, Otto Porter is going to bring that championship mojo to Toronto, like Danny Green took our championship mojo in 2019 and took it to the Lakers, and the Lakers won a 2020 championship. Well, this is what I'm predicting right now. Otto Porter Jr. is going to take that championship mojo from the Golden State Warriors this past season and bring it to Toronto Raptors 2023 NBA championship. That I want Otto Porter to be like Danny Green. You are a mercenary and you are jumping from one championship team to another. That's seamlessly. And when I said Otto Porter Jr.'s name in the chat, Chris looked up and he looked around and then he looked at his phone real quick and then he got off the Twitch real fast. I don't think he knew about the deal. Which was crazy. It was in the middle of the day and it just happened. But it was funny because I'm on Twitch with Chris Boucher, and I'm like telling him, I'm like, yeah, Otto Porter, what do you think of the move? And Chris like, what? And then he grabbed his phone and he started scrolling real quick, and then he cut off his Twitch, and he was barely on his Twitch for maybe a half an hour. So maybe he didn't know that Otto was a Raptor all of a sudden, and he had to go and check it out. Now, that's the thing. A player like Chris might be worried about Otto Porter Jr.'s entry into the team because, he does a little bit of some of the things that are the same, like three-point shooting, little long guy and stuff like that. Of course, they're always worried about minutes to a degree and certain things like that. But really is this kind of thing where Nick Nurse, once again, has his piano of his roster, and he can hit the different keys that he thinks will make the most beautiful music on the court. And he's like, if he's feeling like an Otto Porter note, boom, hit that Otto Porter note. But if he knows what he gets from Chris Boucher also. If I was Chris and you're really worried about carving yourself more time in the rotation and getting enough minutes this season, I would really double down on your role from this last season. That if you can really, really become that hustle Dennis Rodman, offensive rebounder, crazy, weird, physical defender, shot blocking with the three-pointers and stuff like that, you'll get your time, Chris. But your bread and butter needs to be that energy coming off the bench, that you are an instant burst of energy and you liven up the game for the Raptors. Because you've been doing that already on the down low this past season. You come in and you uptick our energy and getting after things, kind of like Yuta was doing. So I think you need to do that you need to just make your flavor of wing a very distinct flavor for you. And that we should really look at this like this because we got Precious, we got Thad, we got Koloko. We got all these big guys coming off the bench and they're different flavors of what we can do. If we need to go a little bigger and a little more physical with a better rim protector, Koloko. If we need a little bit more veteran guile, a little bit more understanding of the game from a veteran perspective, we go Thad Young. If we need a little bit more ranginess and energy and on the boards and kind of that kind of stuff, we go Chris Boucher. That's the thing. We're going to have different looks of these different guys. And they're because they're all the same position, everybody in the league thinks we don't have a bench. You fools. You're going to be so disappointed when the season comes and we do have a bench this year all of a sudden because we didn't have one last year. But what's happening is these the spots on our roster that didn't do much to help or contribute last year are going to start falling off. It could very well be that Malachi Flynn this season is like our 12th man, that he's not even like the eighth or seventh, like eighth or ninth guy on our bench, that he's all the way down at 12 because there's like 5, 6 guys off the bench ahead of him and stuff like that. It may be that Malachi is just a flavor of wing that we use when we can't use Fred and we still want a small point guard out there. But it could be that we have Fred out there for his minutes, and then when Fred's not out there, it's completely positionless, and that Malachi is just not going to get the time. It's going to be very interesting to predict and to see and stuff like that. I'm very excited because this, honestly, the way we're team building this summer, everybody we've got fits the positionless huge lineup kind of scheme, and we're doubling down more and more into it. So they've seen the trend, they like it, and they want to go more in this direction. It's fantastic. Tom Duke saying, Mo, I am so content with the front office. Khem just isn't flashy, but he is proven, and I'm behind him as our starting center. Yeah, I think it's matchup related. Like last year, he was great starting in certain games, like really good and fantastic to start at some games. But in some matchups with some teams that are smaller, he's not necessary. So you go with the more talented team, like that talented starting lineup. I think that in some ways they're still going to just start the talented starting lineup, and Khem won't actually be a starting center for us, but he could very well be the very first person off the bench like he was last year. Like it could be that, like, once again, we start Scotty at center and he's getting killed. Like he can't do it. He does a good job most of the time, but if he's in trouble, if he's drowning out there as far as like guarding people that they're bigger than him, then you bring Khem in right away. And that could be like as soon as 2 or 3 minutes into the game. And usually Nick doesn't like to substitute until like 6 minutes into the game, at least. But if he sees there's a problem with him starting that talented lineup without really a center, then he will bring in a center right away. And that's when Khem gets in like that. But it's exactly right, Tom. He's not very flashy. He's proven, he's consistent, he's steady. And in some ways on the Raptors, a steady player is very, very valuable because we have different guys who go with different ranges of being consistent. You know, Gary Trent Jr., I wish we could depend on him every single night to be exactly the same thing like we can with Khem, you know, even Fred or like Pascal on certain nights. So, all right, there's a fire alarm going off upstairs. So if you hear that, that's just what it is. Don't worry about it. And I don't think there's actually a fire. They've been having problems with like the battery probably is dying and it's just telling them or something like that. I don't know what's going on. All right, let's see. Rahul is here. Good to see Rahul. Always good to see my good friend in the Raptors front office. Let's see what he thinks about what happened yesterday. Rahul saying, I think Masai will pull a trigger on Kevin Durant trade. And Masai is able to talk to him and convince him about the Raptors' vision. Masai could probably get some insight from Drake. Well, Drake's probably helping in this, but I don't know how much he really needs to help. You know, there's a segment of dumb Raptor fans out there that think that we won't get Kevin because he hates us. They think that we have some sort of grudge with Kevin because they think that we cheered when he got hurt and that Kevin's mad at us for that. You are stupid fans that think that like we have a problem with Kevin Durant because of the Golden State Warriors 2019 finals against the Raptors and he got hurt and they think that we cheered him getting hurt. That's not what happened, y'all. Everybody who keeps pushing this narrative. All right, first of all, 2 things. All right, first of all, most of us did not cheer his injury. First of all, there may have been a very small select few of people that did in there, but most of the people were cheering for Serge getting the steal and then him getting up off the court and being able to walk it off. This is the dumb thing. People are trying to paint it like the way they want to perceive it and to make us look bad. Well, we can do 2 things. We can either deny it and say, no, we weren't cheering them and stuff like that. Or we could just own it and say, yeah, sure, we were cheering him get hurt. So what? Who cares? So many other teams in this league have fans that cheer injuries and do stuff like that also. So don't get it twisted. Don't think you're better than us because you said something like that. Because your fan nations do ugly shit too. And they cheer injuries also. It's not put on blast like we are because it was a finals and it was the Canadian team and all this kind of stuff. So anybody's worried about Kevin Durant not wanting to come to Toronto because we cheered, he got hurt, you're stupid. He doesn't care about that. He does not care about that. He's a grown man, and he's one of the best players that ever played in the NBA. And it's y'all that are little crybabies that care about it more than he does. The man loves Toronto. Let's just get it straight. Like, the people that are probably saying that are people that just do not want to see Toronto get Kevin Durant. That to them, it's a nightmare. And that one of the information blocks and say, well, how can he play in Toronto? Because they cheered him getting hurt. They should hate each other. Well, they don't. They don't. Raptors fans don't hate Kevin Durant. And Kevin Durant does not hate Toronto as much as some people around the NBA wish that was true. Is not true. In fact, listen, we are on the very short, very realistic list right now for him to get moved to. And that's not a lie. And that is not like untrue. That is something that is very real. And it may be partly that whether we want to make it happen with what it's going to take and stuff like that. So I'm seeing all kinds of different stuff. The one that I saw that I'm fairly okay with, and I hate saying it, is OG and Gary and 4 first round picks. That if that is actually the price, OG and Gary and 4 first round picks, we should take it. And we should do it. I love OG and Gary, and I love them being on the team. But this is a very interesting situation. And that if we can do this, we should possibly maybe do this. Now, some people are saying it's not even worth that because of the injury risks. That Kevin could come here at 34 and like he could be hurt for like the next couple of years and not play a whole lot. A John Wall situation kind of thing. And I'm like, yeah, and I guess you're right in some ways. Like, that's part of the reason why we should definitely not trade Scotty for Kevin, because that just does not make any sense and stuff like that. So it's going to be very interesting. Tom Duke is saying last night in the Team Canada game that Kelly Olynyk was great last night, and he was. There were 3 players in particular that were absolutely outstanding and carried most of the scoring load for Team Canada, and that was SGA, Nickeil Alexander-Walker, and Kelly Olynyk. Kelly was the man down low. And apparently Dwight Powell got in foul trouble. He was having a hard time dealing with the FIBA rules and dealing with the change from the NBA game to FIBA. And the FIBA officials were kind of on Powell a bit and stuff like that. But the other 3 NBA stars were fantastic. They were carrying the team. And they ended up starting Melvin Ejim as the 5th starter with the 4 NBA players. And it was just a great game. Zach Edey was the big human victory cigar for the game. The Hamilton crowd was cheering for him. They wanted Zach, and they got him. And he came out and he hit his first free throw in senior men's national team competition. And now Zach Edey was really proud and really happy. And like on social media, he's talking about how surreal and awesome it is to represent his country on the men's basketball team. Really, really fun stuff in Hamilton yesterday. And I really like what we're starting to build. That, SGA, some of the things he said yesterday were absolutely beautiful. Like, they get what they're trying to do. They want to build a nucleus. They want to build continuity. They want to build familiarity with the Team Canada so that they can be better when they play in the Olympics in Paris. And that this is the way to do it. Team building over the years, like the culture and having the guys committed to being there for a few years and stuff like that. But I really love SGA wearing the Team Canada hockey jersey. I really love what he said in the press conference afterwards. They were talking and Nick Nurse was saying, I've been in Canada for about 10 years now. So I really do feel like and SGA just interrupts. He says he's Canadian. He's Canadian at this point. So at this point, SGA is saying that Toronto Raptors coach Nick Nurse is really a Canadian man, even though officially and legally he is not. because he's been here so long. And I just love to see the love for Canada from these young NBA studs. That these are dudes that are killing it in the NBA. And the stuff that he did last night at SGA was absolutely fantastic. In fact, he said that he did his first ever left-handed dunk last night, right at the beginning of the game. If you can go find the highlights, check it out. He said it was the first time he's ever dunked with his left hand, and it may be the last time he ever does it again. But that's really kind of cool and stuff like that. So Monique is saying Golden State Warriors lost 7 of 8 players from their championship season. Gotta love it. Well, that's kind of what they've done. Like they have the really important essential core, which is Steph, Clay, and Draymond. And then when they win championships, they kind of slough off the really good stuff, and they have the new crop that's growing up. It's like they're farmers, and that they got to harvest the really good guys like Juan Toscano Anderson and Otto Porter Jr. and Gary Payton II, and they all go to different places, and they let the next crop of guys that are in their system come up and take their places, like Moody and Kuminga and stuff like that. That's what they're basically doing, and that's kind of been their philosophy in the way they've done things as they've won championships in the recent years. Is that they blow it up halfway, but they keep that really important Steph, Draymond, Klay Thompson core, and they just replace the young players around it and stuff like that. So it'd be very interesting. But Golden State Warrior fan was not happy to see Otto Porter come to us. In fact, he's the one that they really upset the most about. That they really do realize the kind of things, the intangibles and the different things that Otto Porter brings. That's why I can't, like, the more I think about it, the more I'm like, this is such a fantastic move, because the spacing for the Raptors next season, and Otto is going to be a reliable 3-point shooter for us. He's somebody that they're going to have to watch out for. And that is fantastic. And the fact that he's still tall also, fantastic. Oh my gosh. It's going to be so fun to watch us next year. And I really honestly think, like, a lot of people are talking about Boston right now. Boston did this, Boston did that. They got Gallinari. Now they have Malcolm Brogdon. And they're saying Boston's now the favorite and all this kind of stuff. Honestly, I'm not impressed. I mean, when you get Danilo Gallinari, you have a defensive weakness. That if you can play Gallinari, it's going to be just like what the Hawks found last year. You can't play him against Toronto. You cannot play Danilo Gallinari against Toronto. So good job, Boston. You just got a player that you can't play against us. And then Brogdon is a weird one. Brogdon is this player that played for Milwaukee and Indiana in the last couple of years, and we faced him a lot in the playoffs, and we've battled him a lot, but we usually kick his ass. So I'm like, hey, go ahead and get Malcolm Brogdon. I think he's a little similar to Derek White, and that these guys are good players, but they're not great players, and that in some ways that, I don't know. I'm not as scared of Boston at this point. Everybody's tooting their horn and saying they're just so great with these couple of moves. And I'm kind of like, are they really that super great or earth shattering? I mean, really? Are they? Come on, guys. So Celtics Nation's tooting their horn. They think it's crazy and stuff like that. And maybe they think we're just as crazy to think that our moves are so great and stuff like that. Drafting Koloko and getting Otto Porter Jr. Well, I think Gallinari is the step in the right direction. The Boston Celtics have been a great defensive team for many, many years now, a couple years now. And, Gallinari is not helping them in that direction. They're going the other direction with him on their roster. So I love it. I love it. I love it. Let's see. Rahul's saying, I think we have to offer either Pascal Siakam and build a package around him, or Scotty. Yeah. Yeah, Brooklyn's kind of saying what they want. They said they want a young star, and that's, to me, saying that they're trying to get Scotty from us for Kevin. And it may be that Masai just saying nope, and it could be that this deal might have happened yesterday. Masai would have said yeah, and that nothing's happened so far. I don't know. I'm really happy with what the Raptors are right this instant right now. I don't feel like we need to make a move. I don't feel like we need Kevin Durant. So in a lot of ways, Masai Ujiri really has all the power right now. He does not need to do anything. We can just go forward as we are right now, and we're going to be badasses. So it's like we're in a can't lose scenario. And it may be really smart to just hold on to our young assets and continue to reap the great growth from guys like OG Anunoby, Gary Trent Jr. and stuff, and forget about this whole Kevin Durant distraction. It's like, seriously, it could be a red herring. It could be a really bad decision to get Kevin to come here. It's like we hit the ball out of the park with Kawhi Leonard, but that doesn't necessarily mean we'll get it with Kevin and stuff like that. I know that he'll be happy if he came here. It's not going to be a situation where if he comes here, he's like going to want to leave like a year or something after. He would finish his contract here if he came here because he'd fall in love with playing for the Raptors. He'd be all about being here because he'd find the functionality of the roster of the franchise and the way it's run, and it's just like really quality and good. He would thrive and love that. Part of the problem is he's been in weird situations on weird teams and weird places and stuff like that. I know the Golden State thing was great, but the Brooklyn thing is in particular. And then Oklahoma City was just kind of like figuring things out and kind of like a mess in its own kind of different ways as far as like the way they manage the personnel and stuff like that. But like Golden State was a good, healthy place to be, but that's because it was always just that, and it has been since. But Toronto would be like Golden State, and that would make him want to be around here and maybe stay. And because there wouldn't be like a Steph Curry around, he would probably be the king of the castle and be able to kind of be, this is Kevin's team, even with Scotty or Pascal around him. So very, very interesting. Yeah, Olenek was really good last night. Let's see what else is going on here. Rahul saying one way the Raps can keep Siakam and Scotty, we probably have to offer OG, Gary, Precious, and 4 first-round picks and 2 pick swaps. Yeah, I don't know. The price may be too steep. Like we just saw Gobert finally moved. Like this Gobert trade is holy crap. Talking about a gamble. Minnesota, you might be crazy. You might be absolutely insane. That you look at what Brooklyn's at right now. Well, you're going to be in a similar position where you're not going to have any draft picks. And now you need to make sure that this Twin Tower experiment of Gobert with Cat is going to work. Because if it doesn't work, this is going to be a monumental disaster for the Timberwolves franchise. And that, this is the thing we were trying to avoid. It's like, we don't need to land Rudy Gobert. Go ahead. Somebody else go do it and maybe step in it because of it. And well, Minnesota stepped up and they made the deal and they bought the farm for him. Like everybody's saying, whoa, they got Gobert for nothing. No, look at that trade again, because they gave up a lot. There's a lot of their future Minnesota Timberwolves that they just gave up to get Rudy Gobert on their team. And it's such a weird combination having 2 of the best centers, absolute best centers in the league on the same team, but they're very opposite each other. You got Cat, who likes to play outside on offense, and Gobert, who has no outside offense. And then you have 2 like twin towers for your defense. They're going to be weird. Like it'll be kind of like Anthony Edwards is Spider-Man climbing from tower to tower, swinging around in between the 2 of them and stuff like that. But I'll have to see how they are. Like it's going to be a hit or miss. It could be a really, really successful thing. But if it isn't, it's going to be one of the biggest failures and dumbest moves that a franchise has done in like recent history. I'm not going to lie, this Rudy Gobert trade. So that's going to be very interesting to see how it pans out. Damian Lee with Portland. What? Okay, so they lost another Warrior to the Portland Trail Blazers. Gary Payton II is going to Portland, and now Damian Lee is going there. Monique saying, did you see the funny story Raptors post about Otto Porter, Wilt Chamberlain on Facebook? All right, listen, there is no denying that our latest and newest Raptor, the mid-level exception signing of Otto Porter Jr., he looks like Wilt Chamberlain. He has a similar kind of facial, characteristics as Wilt Chamberlain. In fact, some people have joked that he's actually Wilt's illegitimate son. That's not that. You know what? I'm going to tell you that right now. That's disrespectful to Otto Porter Sr., because Otto Porter Sr. is absolutely a real like legend and a good basketball player himself. Like he had a really good career in his own realm in his time. And that, he may look like Wilt Chamberlain, Otto Porter Jr., but he has no linkages to him other than looking like him and stuff like that. But yeah, there's some funny stuff on there. There's, Facebook and different places like Twitter, Instagram always has some funny, interesting stuff going on and things like that. So let's see. Dark Knight saying, keep up the great work, man. Look forward to your videos nowadays. All right. Awesome, Dark Knight. I appreciate it. And thanks for keeping the streets safe at night. Yeah, that's what I'll say, Dark Knight. Tom Duke saying, no one thinks of Scotty nor Siakam as filling in, as running the point. With Banton, Malachi, and those 2, we have lots of backup point guards. I know they just don't, because they don't pay attention to us. They only pay attention to us on paper every offseason. They see our roster makeup and they start making deductions about, oh, look at this Raptor team. They don't have any guards. They don't have any guards. Where is their guard? Why do they have so many big like wings? Why are there so many wings in Toronto? And then they start deducing, well, this just means they suck. They just suck. So they're going to be like 20th in the league, somewhere between 20th and 30th in the league. They just suck. That's just how they analyze it. They look at, they don't actually look at the names. They don't actually add up the talent together. They don't actually like kind of maybe think about what is the building philosophy of the Toronto Raptors and why are they doing this and what has it worked and stuff like that. It's hilarious. Let them sleep. Once again, let them dream about getting our good players and let them sleep on understanding how good and what we're doing with our team building. That in some ways, as I said before, they're not paying attention to us in a way is a strength and a plus for us. That we can be that submarine that's under the water that they're not paying attention to. And surprise can be one of our attacks because these people are so arrogant. They just assume things about us and they don't even do their due diligence on research. And then they find out real quick, well, this is why we have a long armed wing lineup and stuff like that. But they look at the piece of paper and they're like, what is this? What is this mess that the Raptors are building? They cannot comprehend it because we're ahead of them and they're in the past and they don't even understand. We're in future world up in Canada and we understand what the long arm monsters, the positionless basketball scheme, this kind of team building is building towards. And they may be too late to catch up or copycat us and stuff like that. So I love it. I mean, look at other teams are doing the same kind of thing. Like, look at what Cleveland just did. They went and got Lopez. They went and got Robin Lopez. Do they need another 7-footer on Cleveland? Do they really need another center on Cleveland? Because they're calling it Tower City, and they've got like 7 or 8 7-foot guys on their team. So they're kind of doing what Toronto's doing, but a little bit taller and a little bit slower. And we'll have to see what wins in that battle. Is it our guys in the middle, the hybrid, the more Mario style, average characters, or is it going to be their Luigi's that are kind of like bigger and slower and not as all around average and stuff like that? It's going to be fun to see Cleveland versus Toronto because they're Tower City and we're the long arm monsters. We're the wing team. So they're very interesting new kind of ways to build a team in the NBA. And an old standard ways are like people are their heads are blowing up because they see what the Raptors are accumulating and just stockpiling. And like, why are they doing this? And they think it won't work, but it has been working. And they don't understand exactly what Tom's saying. That Pascal Siakam and Scotty Barnes can play point guard and that they can be distributors. And Delano Banton is another tall point guard that we have in our ranks. So there's a lot of skills and talent at all 5 positions in our roster. It's just that they don't look like it because you just see a bunch of 6'9", 6'8" guys. All right, let's see. Monique's saying, I don't mind Raptors bringing in Wayne Ellington. Wanted him in the past year, but do I want him now? Okay, fine. Well, it may be good just to have another shooter. I mean, the more we get these really talented guys, the more I think we're just going to buy Svi out and he's going to be gone. That we won't have him in a roster spot. That there's just too many of these guys. And that, Svi better have an amazing training camp, or if he even gets a chance, it could be that they just say, you know what, we're buying you out and here's some money. We need your roster spot because we have other guys we want to play. And that could be the thing that happens with him. I mean, we know Yuta is pretty much gone. He's tweeted that he's going on his way back to Japan in the last day or so from LA. He's been in LA working out. He wanted to see how free agency went. I don't think it went very well for him. So Yuta is going to be going back to Japan, and he's at least competing in some sort of tournament there. I don't know if he's coming back afterwards to still try and make a team and stuff like that. It could be that he's going there for a tournament and then coming right back, and he's going to try and participate in Summer League for a team on a Summer League roster. I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen with Yuta. It could be that his NBA career is over, and it's sad. It's sad that might be. Wayne Ellington's a good shooter. He's a vet. We'll have to see. That's a name that that kind of fits with what we've been wanting, a shooter scorer veteran off our bench. So if he ends up being that, because what happened is Otto Porter did not take the full MLE that was left over from Thad and Chris's signings. So we do have like a very small amount, like maybe like almost $2 million to sign somebody else. And that's what it is. It'd be like a $1 or $2 million deal for this year. So it's not something super great like Otto Porter, but it could be maybe Wayne Ellington. Tom Duke saying still plenty of time left in free agency week. I mean, listen, everything just dumps out at the beginning. And then there's like, they're waiting to see like Kevin Durant. And then after that, there'll be a little bit more dumping out and stuff like that. Dark Knight is saying Ibaka and Dennis Schroeder are still available. What do you think about those dudes? I've really thought about Ibaka a couple times this week, but I think that in some ways it's like, listen, we have Thad Young, and in some ways Thad Young and Ibaka would be the same kind of role at this point. In fact, I think that Thad Young may be able to produce better than Ibaka at this point. That I don't understand it. Ibaka is actually younger than Thad Young. But there's something weird that's happened with Ibaka since he left Toronto with his injuries. Like being on the Clippers really hurt his career. Like he was doing so well with us and his stock was going up. But then in the Clippers, he got hurt and then he had to go to the G League and then he had like a couple different other things happening. He hasn't been able to be healthy. And some people, it may be that his career is just naturally coming to a close at this point, that he has not seen any interest on the free agency market. And, listen, Serge is going to be great. Like he's got a YouTube channel with his How Hungry Are You? He's also makes videos and music. Like this dude is all over YouTube. If you go to YouTube and you put Serge Ibaka's name in there, you'll find like 5 or 6 videos, music videos of him with music and girls dancing and singing and stuff. So he's got all kinds of different things he can go do after his career. But we'll have to see if he gets picked up or signed somewhere. So I don't really, it would only be fun to reunite and have him here. It would be weird because it would be really like, wow, we really have a lot of these guys throughout the bench. And it may be that Serge is the last one and that he's kind of just here because he won a championship here. He's good for culture. He's good for kind of hanging out. But also, I wonder if there's any fallout between him and Nick Nurse and the way he left. And I also wonder if that's part of the reason why he chose the Clippers. And that whole thing that happened with him when he went to the Clippers was very weird, with him on a plane and him saying, "Where do you think I'm going?" and stuff like that. And then he's all of a sudden he's a Clipper and stuff. So I don't know if Serge coming back to Toronto is actually realistic. Not because he burned a bridge, but just because it doesn't make any sense. And as far as Schroeder, it's kind of a similar thing. He's older. He's you got to look at Schroeder and how he's bounced around the last couple of years. Like he bounced around from the Lakers to the Celtics to the Hawks to, he's been on so many different teams right now. And in the last couple of years. So I don't know. I don't like either one of them. I don't like Schroeder mostly also because he's short and he's a guard. And we're not playing with guards anymore. That Fred may be the last guard we ever draft or acquire. That seriously, the way that this is trending with the guys that we are getting, you have to have a minimum height and a minimum wingspan. And if you don't have it, you're not on the team. So Rahul's saying, I think OG rumors being leaked has caused a stir behind the scenes. And I feel like Gary also wants a bigger role on offense so he can get a huge payday. OG and Gary are in a trade for Kevin Durant. I hate the OG stuff to a degree, but I also it's good because like he is getting recognition that he is more valuable. But it's also in some ways that may be other teams trying to drive up the player values of our team so that when their contracts are up, we have to pay them even higher. It's like inflating them by causing a huge demand on the trade market. They're inflating OG's value in some ways. And it's not that he's not worth it. We know how good he is and how much we want him. It's just that they're making it very apparent on the whole in the publicly. And that in some ways, that's something that Clutch should be very happy about, Clutch management, that OG's values being inflated by all this talk this summer. And that's dangerous and it sucks because we don't want a player that's so like watched and looked at like this, that like OG has been the last 2 weeks. It sucks. And it's stressful to the players because they don't know what's going to happen. They could get traded any moment. And I hate this over it. In fact, in some ways, I kind of wish Masai would either just like figure out whether he's going to do a deal for Kevin and just get it done and just end the uncertainty. Whether it's for the uncertainty for the players, the uncertainty for the fans, the uncertainty for the team and what they're going to be looking like next season. That, re-signing Thad and Chris right away made uncertainty go away in their realm of things. But there still is an air of uncertainty just because of Kevin Durant. who's hanging around and is available. And that is, Monique saying, I'll say this again, Lex. Raptors won't gut their team for a 34-year-old Durant. This is what a learned scholar at Raptors University, PhD Dr. Monique Superfan Lawrence, is astutely seeing with her very astute perspective, is that she knows that Masai Ujiri is too smart to gut a team for a 35-year-old aged Kevin Durant. And I hope that she's right. And I think she probably is, honestly. Click saying, I don't snake ass. He's all right. He's saying, I don't want snake ass Kevin Durant. He's going to fuck up the future of our team and we will become what the Brooklyn Nets are. Yeah, there's no telling. I mean, honestly, look at how we rode the storm with Kawhi. I think that he could come here. If any team can, with functionality, can make Kevin Durant win another championship and in functional ways, it's us. And that, I know he's a snake, and he's a snake for doing how he did it, Kyrie, this week. Like, honestly, what a play! That is a snake play. He's like, Kyrie, you go ahead and re-up with Brooklyn. You're gonna stay here, and now I'll request a trade and get the hell away from you. That is a snake move. He's a snake when he left Oklahoma City. He was a snake when he left Golden State. He is the snake. That is what he ate on How Hungry Are You with Serge Ibaka. That's what Serge gave him. He's like, you are eating snake. And he ate it. And Kevin knows that's one of his nicknames, that he's the snake in the league. And he knows it. And he wears it. Like, he understands that is part of his legend, that he is a little bit of a snake. I don't know if he'd fuck us up, though. Like, to be honest, Click, I think that it would work. And I think we would actually win another championship if we didn't send too much the other way. It's just, I just really love this young core. And for some reason, I'd rather go that route and see, like, it go really good for a long, long time instead of, like, maybe sacrificing our long-term greatness for a really short window with Kevin on the team over the next 3 years. That's the difference. It's like you're looking at a really, really good, intense window to try and win another championship in the next 3 years, or you're looking at like a 6 or 7 year period with a really great young core. It's like these are the things we're kind of weighing with the Kevin Durant talk right now. Click saying SGA dropped 32 points yesterday. Yeah, 16 points in the third quarter. They were hanging with them. And in the first half, Dominican. And then in the third quarter, it was all SGA. He absolutely tore it up and took over. And it's got to be fun for Nick Nurse to coach him. It's got to be fun for some of these other guys to play next to him. Like I think Zach Edey was really impressed with being on the same team as SGA and stuff like that. And, SGA's got to be impressed also. Maybe Nick Nurse was a really good coach around him. He's like, wow, Nick Nurse is fun to play for. Nick Nurse is fun to play for. It's fun to play in OVO Center to practice. This is a great facility. Like, wow, who's that guy with the white hair and the glasses over there? Oh, that's Alex McKechnie. Oh, cool. Yeah, he can help you like stay healthy and stuff like that. In fact, that's one of the knocks on Otto Porter Jr. is that he does have injury problems in the last few years. Well, if that's his biggest knock, he's coming to the right team, because Dr. McKechnie will take care of you real good, Otto Porter Jr. And that we're going to minimize him missing games due to injury as much as possible because of Dr. McKechnie. So, yeah, anybody who's worried about Otto Porter being hurt and why would we get him and this kind of stuff, realize that our staff is going to really help in this area with this kind of thing and stuff like that. So another interesting thing was the deal that they signed Thad Young to was technically an extension of his prior deal. So because this happened, because they did it before he expired and things, they made it even more flexible for the Raptors. Like, they can trade Thad today. Like, if they had just signed him to a new contract right away, they wouldn't have the flexibility to add him into a deal if they were trying to make a deal for Kevin Durant. That it really genius move once again, an advanced genius move that people wouldn't probably pick up on unless they're really paying attention. That they signed Thad Young to an extension, not to a whole new contract. And because of that, the rules allow him to be moved right away. and that is something that could allow us to possibly bring Kevin here. I'm not saying we want to trade Thad, but I'm just saying that's a brilliant thing that they saw the opportunity. They talked to the player, and he said, "Okay, sure, we'll do this. If it allows flexibility, and you guys will take care of me either way, and send me the right kind of team if you do trade me and stuff like that." So, man, the front office for the Raptors is absolutely killing it. We're not giving lip service or just talking them up when we say that the Raptors front office is one of the best in the league. They are proving it this summer because they're doing what they're going to say they're going to do, and then they're doing it really, really like at the highest level. Like the Koloko drafting is amazing. Like honestly, people are going to look back and see Koloko at 33, and they're going to be like, "Holy crap! How did they get Koloko at 33? Why did nobody take him before that in the first round?" And then the Otto Porter Jr. signing is just absolutely bellissimo. It is amazing that they got him. Oh my gosh, it's so good. G saying at this point, I don't know if I want Durant. Drama follows him, disloyal, plays GM, forces trades, maybe just salty because of the fans talking about trading Scotty. Yeah, I mean, gee, listen, I'm not really big into it, but honestly, I do kind of understand Durant in a way that he is about winning and he is a team player. He's not like LeBron totally with the GM stuff. I don't think he'd come here and tell Masai how to do his job because he'd understand, like, listen, maybe I don't have this pressure to worry about whether my front office is capable or inept. It's like he can come here and be like, I just trust in Messiah, like the rest of us, because this man's working magic and doing amazing things. So, in a way, if LeBron or Kevin Durant were on the Raptors, I don't think they would be worried about GMing as much because they know the GM position is capably filled. And that is part of it. And then like the disloyalty thing, it just comes with like acrimony. Whenever there's some sort of negative, bad thing that happens or something like that, then it's kind of like it goes a little south and stuff like that. But yeah, Brooklyn's probably feeling like he's not a very loyal person. I mean, look at the cover of the New York Post yesterday. It's like Thin Man Wants Out or something like that, and they're raking him over the coals in the press in New York City. So yeah, I don't want them to trade Scotty, and it's really heartening if this is a condition that Kevin has. Is I want to play with Scotty Barnes, and you cannot get Scotty back, Brooklyn. You need to get other guys because I want to go there and play with him. And I hope that is one of his conditions. If this is really seriously getting somewhere with anything. Now, way this could just be a thing to try and fuck up our chemistry and mess things up and hurt feelings by having this trade cloud over our heads with Kevin Durant. And, you got to wonder what Gary and OG are thinking and how they feel about all this and stuff like that. In some ways, I just wish it would go away and we could just focus on us and just do what we're focusing on doing. Like, Kevin, we don't give a shit if you don't want to be in Brooklyn or not. You go fuck around and go wherever the fuck you want to. And maybe we don't want you in Toronto. Because I am kind of with G and Click on this. Monique saying Nickel was good too. Yeah. And it's fun. They're cousins. They haven't played together in so long. They hadn't played in Hamilton for so long. It's just a fun homecoming, a joy of the game, sharing it with a loved one, sharing it with your family in front of a crowd. There are like 60 to 70 of their friends in the crowd. That's just joy. That's just a joyous event and just so much fun. G saying Dwight Powell was good too. Yeah. I mean, he scored some, but they were saying that he was struggling with the FIBA rules and the changes. Raymond Jacobs saying my fantasy would be if we got KD and KD trains Chris, and then we have two KDs. I don't know. Chris Boucher may have wanted to be KD at some point, but I think that ship may have sailed. Like, honestly, realistically, whether it's his new mindset of taking his role as a role player off the bench as an energy rebounder, or it's just that he gave up on that dream, that he's never going to have that offensive skill set that Kevin Durant has. He's not going to ever be consistent at three like Kevin Durant is. He's not ever going to be unstoppable off the dribble like Kevin Durant is. Come on. It's too late in his career, and he's blooming now, like at almost 30, and we're about to see the really good period of Chris's career. Like I was telling him yesterday, I said it real quick, and maybe this is why he got overwhelmed. We're all texting him, messaging him and stuff. He said, "Chris, you're about to have the 3 best years of your career because during this contract that you just signed." And I really do truly believe that and stuff like that. That Chris is about to be really consistently good for us in the role that he does off the bench. Rahul's saying it seems like the Nets have the leverage, but if you think about every young all-star who's under the designated max contract cannot be traded to the Nets because Ben Simmons is there. Ben Simmons fucking things up in all kinds of different ways all the time. Rahul's also saying the Raptors can tell the Nets that they don't have leverage because other teams are not offering their best player. If the Nets keep KD for next season, KD is going to cause a lot of problems between players. See, these are all kinds of can't lose situations. We don't do anything. They get stuck with Kevin. They can't do anything. He's upset. He's playing with Kyrie for another season of a dumpster fire. Hey, listen, maybe he's keeping to what we're doing already, and we're on a good path. And messing up the Nets is really good because they're a divisional rival, and we maybe want to take them out of the picture in this kind of way. I like this kind of thinking. And it is true. Like people really understand that the Raptors have draft picks. The Raptors have young players that are good assets. We are the best person to get Kevin Durant in the whole sweepstakes around the league. And as far as situation with our team, you look at the Lakers, they don't have any draft picks to send back to them. They basically have to send them Antonio Davis or Anthony Davis or Russell Westbrook and some players to get Kevin Durant over there. Miami, even them, they're more hamstrung than we are as far as what they can offer to Brooklyn that we can. And that's part of the reason why Woj is saying we're lurking, is that we're probably the best trade partner to land Kevin Durant in the whole NBA in some ways, just because of the settings. And actually that the Nets would actually want our stuff. They may not want what Miami's trying to sell them. They may not want what the Lakers are trying to send them. They may not want what Phoenix is trying to send them. And that they may want what Toronto has, and that they're really just fine-tuning the negotiations about what it is. It could be Bobby Webster and Masai are fighting in the trenches for the Raptors right now at front office by going back and forth and saying, no, you got to do this. And can we meet here? Can we find this middle right here? And they're trying to figure out how to get it closer together. Or it could be that they've just given up and we're just going to see Kevin go to somebody else. Or just stay, like Rahul's saying. If he stays, that's great. That's kind of like a win in a win. That if he stays and they're in trouble and Brooklyn's still garbage because Kyrie and Kevin are still there and they didn't want to be there, and that's fantastic. That is a good recipe either way. Click saying KD and Kawhi are polar opposites. Kawhi is quiet and doesn't have social media. KD talks a lot and looks like a fool every time he tweets some shit. That's true. That is a big difference between the two of them. Kawhi has no social media presence, and Kevin is out there. Kevin is embracing, kind of like Draymond is, Ja Morant. These guys are out there. DeJounte, they're out there putting their opinions out there and stuff like that. That's true. But you know what's fun? Kevin's kind of savvy too, and I think that he would get along with the trollish kind of like weird, toxic Raptors fan nation on social media. That as much if he came here, we would be a full force for him, first of all. And I don't know. It would be really weird to see how it would all pan out. Depending on how well he did, if there was a failure of him being here, then yeah, it could be really ugly on social media between him and Raptors fans. But I think for the most part, I think that we would be just as good as like Brooklyn fans around him. It'd be the same kind of stuff and stuff like that. But I don't know. I like Kevin. I don't think he's a knucklehead like Russell and those guys. I think he's an actual healthy player in this league, and that if he comes to your team, he's not going to hurt you. That's me, in my opinion. Like I can see through it all. Like he has problems with wanting to leave and trying to get easy championships and stuff like that. But on the team, to me, I feel like he's still a good team player. That he does play really well within a team, and that he is good for organizations on the whole. That there may be a couple of different things about him. Yeah, he's disloyal and he may just want to leave at the drop of a hat. But when he's bought in and he's actually there to win and try and play, he's for real. And that's what I'll say with that. And that way, Kawhi and him are similar. But you're right. On the social media presence, they're the exact opposite in some ways, for sure. Marlon Toby saying, in other news, Utah is in turmoil. Gobert has gone to Minnesota. Let's get Nickeil Alexander Walker. Man, how do we get all these guys on our team, Marlon? I mean, we have so many players on our team right now. It's like, how are we going to have to move somebody, make some sort of deal, or cut people and stuff like that? But yeah, Utah's selling the farm. They're doing exactly what San Antonio's doing. They're signaling that they want to tank to try and get this number one guy that's supposedly coming up in the next draft. That there's a really good player that's going to be number one next. I don't even know his name. I'm not even looking ahead that far, but there is a player that everybody's already gearing up to try and angle for by losing. And that's by sending their best players to other teams like Gobert, DeJounte Murray. That's signaling that the Spurs and the Jazz are going to try and tank this season. And that don't be surprised when Donovan Mitchell gets traded to the New York Knicks in the next couple days also. The Mitchell probably won't be on. He might get traded to Miami, actually, is what I'm hearing. That Mitchell is the next one to probably go somewhere. I don't know if Nickel will get moved, though, because he's younger and he could be part of a new nucleus that's coming up and stuff like that. But they are having a fire sale in Utah right now. They definitely are. They're moving him. Rahul's saying Nets will have to trade him now because he has 4 years. You're talking about KD. Yeah, they'll have to trade him now. If they can't trade him this summer, they're going to continue to try and trade him until they do get it done. Because he doesn't want to be there. He's requested a trade. And we know what happens with big superstar players in the NBA when they want trades and they don't get moved. Well, we see what happens. Ben Simmons, stuff like that. Kawhi Leonard. Monique saying, so Lex, are you going to Global Jam? It's a further route for me. Damn it. It's at the Maple Leaf Gardens. And it starts on the 5th or something like that. Yeah, I think I'm going to try and go. My buddy Stevie Roots and I are talking about going. So I just need to talk to him and maybe plan it, and we'll go down there and stuff like that. But it's really cool how they did it. They have it where you have to buy a ticket to both a men's and a women's game. That you pay $44 and you get a ticket to 2 games. You get a ticket to the women's game and then the men's game right after it. So they're encouraging people to come and be involved in both the men's and women's Canadian basketball, and that's fantastic. That's really smart the way that they did the ticket things by pairing them together, because you want to broaden horizons. You want people to get sucked into seeing more women's basketball and elevate their game also, so that they can get better pay, more professional leagues, and more equality for women in basketball. And I love that they did that with the Global Jam. So I'll probably will come down there and maybe catch like a women's and a men's game, just 2 of them real quick. You can get all 18 of the games for like $325. If you really want to make a week of it, because it's like a 4 or 5 day jam with games like, and there's teams from Europe, all kinds of teams from all around the world. They're competing in this tournament. So it should be really a lot of fun. And I'm glad Monique keeps bringing it up. And if you live in Toronto and you're downtown and you can get to Maple Leaf Gardens or easily, you might want to check out the Global Jam next week. It's affordable and it's fun and it's international. And I think it would be fun just to go to see the Maple Leaf Gardens and how it's changed since it became a Loblaws. I want to see what it looks like inside. All right. See, Jane Waters is saying, happy Saturday, friends. Otto Porter Jr. is a very interesting signing to me. My spidey senses don't like it. Something cooking on the trade front. No, Shane. All right. I don't. Your spidey sense don't like it, but you weren't here earlier. I was explaining something about me with foresight, like with pre-visualizing good things happening in the future. Like in the mid 2000s, when Kyle was on Memphis and Houston, before he got to Toronto Raptors, when he first was in the NBA as a very young player, I had a vision about Kyle Lowry. Way before he ever came to the Raptors, way before he was even on the radar in Toronto, about him being special. And it came to fruition. I had a vision about Serge Ibaka when he was in Oklahoma City, about him being special to the Raptors at some point in his career, and it came to fruition. Well, I want to tell you something right now, Shane Waters. I've had a similar vision with Otto Porter Jr. That years and years ago, when he was playing for the Wizards against us in the playoffs, I had a vision about him being in a Raptor jersey someday and doing amazing things for us. And let me just tell you, my track record with these kind of visions is really good. It was with, like I said, Kyle, Serge, and even Marc Gasol. I had a prevision about him being in a Raptor jersey and the good things happening. So that's what I'll caution and tell you. Maybe this is bullshit, But there's something to this that has happened, and there's been a consistent good outcome from me having a good feeling about a player. And Otto Porter Jr. is somebody I have a very good feeling about, is what I'll say. You may not like it possibly because of injury risk. You may not like it possibly because we're asset building, and maybe we're going to make a big, huge trade like Kevin Durant or something like that. I don't know. I like it all around. I don't see where this could go wrong. Even if Otto gets hurt a lot, like, and he doesn't play that much, well, hopefully maybe we can manage him so that he's hurt, but we don't use him a lot in the regular season, but we get him healthy enough for the playoffs and before the playoffs and stuff like that. That's the kind of thing we got to look at. Shane, do not be afraid of Otto Porter Jr. I'm going to tell you that right now. Be very, very excited, and there's going to be good things happening. And even if something's cooking on the trade front, as we always have to do, we have to go back to our bread and butter, our number one tenement as the Raptor Freak cult: trust in Masai and Bobby. That they're going to do whatever it's going to happen. If it's going to be a monumental deal like a Kawhi for DeMar deal, it's going to be something that's going to work out for us. We just have to realize that. No, we're in no lose kind of scenarios. We stay the course. We don't lose. We make a big move. We're not going to lose either on that. So click saying Gary Trent Jr. for Jordan Clarkson and Nickel Alexander works. I checked the trade machine. You get a Canadian with upside and a lethal shot creator that can come off the bench. That's the only deal I would do. As for other moves, hang on, sorry, let me see. As for other moves, it jumped way ahead. Sorry. Oh man, there's a lot here. I'll catch up. As for other moves, I want to pick up Thomas Bryant on the minimum or a backup point guard. Okay. I don't know if I want Gary for all that. I know that you guys are real big on Alexander Walker, just partly because of the Team Canada stuff yesterday. You guys are big. If you could get SGA, you'd want him too. I don't know how to put this. Gary Trent Jr. is already acclimated here and doing different things. It's not that I don't think these other guys would. It's just that part of what we're doing with our team is we're building that family atmosphere. And we don't want to just shuffle guys just for the sake of shuffling them like other teams. That in part of the reason why our team is so solidly foundational and stuff like that is we're not just making little moves like this. That we're very, very super calculated. I feel like this would be too little of a move in some ways to move Gary. That in some ways I would, I understand why you would do it, Click. And maybe you're right that would be a really good deal for us as far as like getting those two guys back from him. But I don't even know if Utah would do that because that's two really good players for one player. And then as far as what you're saying about Thomas Bryant, yeah, I'm hearing that we're in the sweepstakes to possibly get him still, like with that little bit of money that was left over after Otto Porter signing. And that it's between us and the Lakers for Thomas Bryant. He's an interesting center. But once again, I'm like, whoa, we really are going big. Like if we're looking at Thomas Bryant, center from Washington Wizards, that is interesting. He's younger too. Like you guys got to realize Thomas Bryant was playing in the G League last year. Half the year also, and that he's not an established pro completely. He's a young and up and coming kind of big. And in some ways, he doesn't totally fit our long arm monster kind of like look. He's more of a bigger, slower guy who's kind of more rounder and stuff like that. So I don't know if there's actually any real fire to that smoke about Thomas Bryant. It's not necessarily a move we need to make or is necessary. And I don't mind the player himself. I think he'd be fine on the Raptors. It's just I don't see why we would do it at this point. It's like the backup point guard to me would be more likely. But even then, I don't think we would do that either, just because of what we've been talking about on the stream, that Scotty and Pascal, Delano, Malachi, those are the backup point guards. We have 4 different options, and it's just really which one we want to use. And if we're going to go in more and more direction of Scotty Barnes being a ball handler and a distributor and point forward, then we don't need a backup point guard. We got Malachi to be the backup small guard. We got Delano for another traditional kind of point guard, but he's taller. And then we have the 2-point forwards. And that is just it. And the 2-point forwards are really the backup point guard at this point. So, and Malachi's like the 3rd point guard. Monique is saying, did you see the feature on Leonard Miller by Sportsnet? So awesome. No, I didn't see it. He'll be on the G League Ignite this year or something like that. I think he's playing on Ignite, which will be good for him. He needed a little bit more time. He's very young, and then he'll be in the draft probably next year, and he'll probably get drafted pretty high depending on how he does. Monique saying, "I want to see more Zach Edey for next game." Nick, she wants to see Zach Edey play against Virgin Islands more on Monday. Nick Nurse, so hear Monique and do it. Marlon Toby saying, "I said it before. Golden State has the highest luxury tax of any NBA team, and they won a chip. Their players became more valuable, and they can't pay all of them, so other teams like us benefit." That's a natural cycle of a championship cycle, is that you win a championship and all of a sudden your guys go up in value and they're harder to keep them together and stuff like that. I'm really happy the way the Raptors re-signed Chris and Thad, because listen, it was using the bird rights. It was doing this thing that we've been talking about this summer where these bird rights will help them with navigating the cap and not paying into the luxury tax or paying into it if they want to, because it's calculated because they want to overspend and stuff like that. But they did the right stuff, like masterful re-signings. Like I said, the Thad Young making an extension instead of a whole new contract was absolutely brilliant. And that these men really know all their options, and they're maximizing potential flexibility and options by making the moves very specifically in certain ways. And that in some ways, this is advanced level NBA front office GMing, and that other teams, I don't even know if they're smart enough to do this kind of stuff in Sacramento. So G saying, yep, GSW still has to extend Looney and Wiggins too. They did get Looney yesterday. They re-signed Kevon Looney to their team. He is somebody they are retaining. And the Wiggins, I haven't heard anything about Wiggins. You meant Poole. So you meant Poole, Jordan Poole. Or yeah, I don't know. There's guys on the move from that team. Golden State will be a different look. And it's not like they can just pencil them in to be a repeat champion, because we got Otto Porter Jr. now. And then some people think that this guy was like really the key kind of part in their rotation that really put them over the top this year to help them win the championship. Golden State Warriors Nation was not happy. I'm serious. They were really like, no, they really feel like their chances to win a championship next year went down majorly because we got Otto Porter Jr. from them. So that's very interesting. Shane saying, no need to be sorry. It's been a rapid fire first 48 hours of free agency. It really has been. I mean, I don't even know. There may be stuff that's happened that I'm not even realizing, because there's been so much. And it's interesting to see how everything gets shook up and where the names are switched and they are now and stuff like that. Like, I'm very intrigued by Andre Drummond being in Chicago all of a sudden with Vucevic and all them and stuff like that. There's other moves that have happened that have piqued my interest. And I'm like, well, that's very interesting. Obviously, the Gobert stuff is very interesting with Minnesota. So we'll have to see. Let's see. Rahul saying KD could be a great mentor for Scotty Barnes. Yeah, he would. He would. Honestly, yeah, you're right. Exactly. You're exactly right. But also, Otto Porter Jr. is going to be a great mentor for Scotty Barnes also. And Thad Young is already a great mentor for Scotty Barnes already. I really want to really put more focus on this connection between Otto Porter and Thad Young from the Chicago Bulls. That these two guys played 2 years, not just 1 year. They played 2 years together on the Chicago Bulls roster. And that there's a familiarity and a team build like kind of thing between them already. And that if Otto Porter is going to come in, and Thad is kind of the de facto like veteran leader on the Raptors, Otto Porter will come in and work underneath him as kind of like a secondary older vet. And that Thad is kind of like going to say, well, listen, this is how it is here. Fred is the captain. He's in charge. Scotty is our young rookie who's up and coming. And then we got Pascal, who's our go-to guy and our bread and butter scorer and stuff like that. This is a hierarchy, Otto. And how do you want to fit in here with this? Well, you'll just be a good, solid character vet, and you'll give good advice to guys here and there and stuff like that. So I'm really happy with this Otto Porter thing. I'm over the moon. In fact, I was so happy about Koloko. I was so happy about Ron Harper Jr. But now with Otto Porter Jr., I'm just like, boom, next year we need to be going for a championship. I'm sorry. This is all the signs of it. When you get a guy that just came off of a championship run with the Golden State Warriors and you bring him in like this means this man is not only trying to get paid a little bit more than what Golden State was going to give him, but he's also trying to go chase another chip. And he sees that things kind of are developing here in Toronto. And like I said, it could be that Thad Young and Otto Porter Jr. were talking to each other, and Thad's like, man, it's so good here in Toronto. He's like, really? really? Is that good? I was like, I mean, my wife, she tells me Toronto's an awesome city. She's from there. And he's like, yeah, it's really good. You need to come here. He's like, boom. I'm telling you, there may have been a factor with Thad Young and getting Otto Porter and stuff like that. All right, let's see. Monique saying Leonard Miller is going to play in the Global Jam. Ooh, that makes me want to go see it then. If Leonard Miller's there, I want to go see him on in person. 2023 Raptors over everything. NBA champions. Yes, Monique. That is the goal. That's the only goal. There's no goals this year other than to just go win the championship. We got in the playoffs. We're going to make the playoffs again this year. We need to win a championship again this year, 2023. Get that second Raptors championship of our dynasty that we're going to build over the next 15 years starting in 2019, just like the San Antonio Spurs. We got to go get that second one this year. 2023 is our next year, y'all. It's this year. G saying this stat is interesting. Durant last season scored 7 more points than Pascal, 1 less rebound than Pascal, 1 more assist. Obviously, KD is better, but this also shows how good Pascal really is. Yeah. Yeah, I would agree with this. And that's part of the reason why I don't feel like a deal for Kevin is absolutely essential. That everybody sells us short, like Shaq and Charles saying, oh, we have no superstars. Motherfucker, we have superstars. It's just you don't choose to recognize them as being superstars. Pascal Siakam is a superstar in this league. And they need to give him that credit. And Scotty Barnes very shortly will be one also. And that they will need to give us credit. Like they don't think we have superstars on our team. Well, motherfucker, you better tune in and watch us again this season. You're going to see superstars on the Toronto Raptors, Charles Barkley and Shaquille O'Neal. You're going to see them. Monique saying, I'll admit, I'm bummed about Gary Payton II, though. We could keep him in Toronto with Golden State and now Portland. I know we let Gary Payton leave when he was on our G League on our 905, but that's just, we can't be perfect. And, we may be so good at getting good players that we just have to catch and release sometimes. It's like, oh, we got this great fish, but we can't really do anything with it long term in the future. So, you know what? We're going to make a tough decision. We're going to let it go. And then, boom, it goes crazy somewhere else. Hassan Whiteside is another name that's like this, that we had him in our system, and then he goes somewhere else, and he's a really good pro. So it's that kind of thing. Monique, we can't really have woulda, coulda, shoulda because we can't keep everyone. And in way, if we have these kind of players like Gary Payton II, go somewhere else and be badass, that just means we're really hitting at a high clip of getting good guys and being astute and picking good talent and stuff like that. But we can't keep them all. And I'm happy for him. And it sounds like him and Damian Lillard have a really good relationship. Gary Payton II, and then they're going to be really happy together. And you got to realize that Gary Payton II's family's from Oregon. That is kind of where Gary Payton Sr. he played his college ball there, and he has a lot of connections in Oregon. So that's going to be a good homecoming in some ways for GP2 there. G saying, do you think they will clog the paint for Edwards? I can't picture that team, but never know. It's going to be so weird what they're going to be doing in Minnesota. It's either going to really work or not. Like I said earlier, I think Anthony Edwards is going to look like Spider-Man, swinging between tall towered buildings and going to the basket and flying up and getting dunks and stuff because these two guys standing next to him. He's going to look like Spider-Man slinging from building to building. Shane Waters saying the Twin Towers have already fallen. There will be no resurrections. Don't think it's too soon for that joke. Well, that's a very biting joke. And, honestly, I don't think it's too soon, but it's still, I don't know if it's in the best taste. I'll just put it that way, Shane Waters. But, listen, these guys are either going to work really well together or they're not. And that's the gamble for Minnesota at this point. They got Gobert now, and they've mortgaged their future for him. And this is going to be a whole kind of different thing than Brooklyn did. Brooklyn mortgaged their future to get their big three recently, and they're feeling it now. That's why they want these draft picks back now, because if they're not going to have Kevin Durant and Kyrie and James Harden, they need the draft picks to replenish their team because they sold the farm on that. It's just similar to thing that like Houston has all their draft picks because of the Harden deal. So it's a similar thing. Now Utah has all of Minnesota's draft picks. But the difference between the Minnesota Timberwolves and the Brooklyn Nets is the Brooklyn Nets are a destination team that actually can probably draw free agents to them. Minnesota cannot do this. So if this Twin Tower lineup does not work with Gobert and Anthony Towns, then they're fucked. because they're going to have these guys and they're not going to be able to replenish by getting other free agents to come, and they won't have any draft picks. So Minnesota, really big gamble for a small market franchise, that making a big market gamble by getting Gobert like this. It could be a real disaster for their franchise, and it could set them back for like 10 years is what I'm saying. So they're going all in on this one. Click saying Timberwolves will be great in regular season, but in playoffs, their perimeter defense will be exposed. Worst perimeter D in the league, possibly. Yeah, that was a big reason why we beat them in the regular season when we would play them, is that they were really bad on the 3-point line. And it was great because we actually looked good at the 3-point line for once when we would play the Timberwolves. That game in Minnesota where Gary Trent just absolutely went off, it comes to mind. And yeah, D'Angelo Russell's still a part of this nucleus and stuff like that. And he is honestly, when people compare him to like people like OG or Fred, I'm like, no, this dude is nothing like these guys. He doesn't play any defense. And honestly, is he that good of an offensive player at this point in his career either? Because that's really what he was good at, was offense. But now it's like he's not even really that good at that either. So Minnesota, in some ways, also, they've now super teamed their team because they've got Gobert and Karl-Anthony Towns and Anthony Edwards, and they're all going to be like max guys. The two centers already have $200 million contracts. So in some ways, they're super teaming themselves with the rest of their roster, and they're going to have a hard time filling out a full 15 with good quality. And that is part of the crux and the problem of being a super team and having such heavy, big contracts at the top. And that they're going to find that out. That like they may not have very good 7th or 8th or 9th guy on the team, is what I'm saying too. And that may be part of their problem also. Monique's saying, hey guys, you remember collecting trading cards from the past and you're back to it? Monique, all right, hang on a sec. Let me just see if this is the right one. Oh, no, I know where they are. They're not here. Oh, wait, let me see. Hang on. No, they're not here. Okay, that's not them. Oh, wait, this one. This one's got them. Yeah. Oh, yeah. All right, here we go. All right, sorry I was off camera for a bit. Monique brought up something that is dear to my heart, and this could be really fun sometime to do this, but I've got a Converse shoes box full of old basketball trading cards right here. Let's see, who's that? We got, what's that? These are old Skybox cards, Monique, from 1990. These are from 1990. They're like 30 years old. That's Otis Smith. He played on the original Magic. This is Terry Cummings from San Antonio Spurs. David Robinson before stuff like that. But I have a whole box of stuff here. But yeah, I love the old basketball trading cards. If Monique, you're into them, maybe we'll have to do some trades. I've got old trading cards. Monique, you and I should get together and have a basketball trading session or something like that. Because I've got old cards that I've had since I was little and stuff like that. I love that you're talking about that. You're back at it. I love that, Monique. Maybe you'll get me into it also. I'd love to get some Scotty Barnes rookies cards. That's what I really need to do. Maybe I need to trade my older cards, some of my older cards, for some newer cards of like our good Raptors right now. Like, who's in here? Look, here's a Mark Eaton Skybox card. Mark Eaton. So good. Let's see. I probably got most of this group. Let me see if I can find anybody really funny from like the past that's still involved in the NBA. These guys are all scrubs that I'm finding right now. Here's a Frank Brakowski. Frank Brakowski got into it with Dennis Rodman. Let's see who else I've got. Original Raptor rookie card for Willie Anderson. Willie Anderson was on the original Raptors from back in the day. See, I'm really showing my age, showing you guys these old cards right now. There's another original Raptor, Ed Pickney card. Ed Pickney. Let me see. I'll stop doing this in a sec. I know this is a little weird. Ooh, here's a Karl Malone card. Karl Malone All-Star card, some sort. Who's that? No.
Kevin Johnson. Kevin Johnson's kind of a perv and a bad person, but here's a Kevin Johnson card. Dan Marley. You guys like Dan Marley? Thunder Dan, his Thunderwear. Sam Cassell, good Florida State player. Sam Cassell, that's awesome. But yeah, I've got these old cards. I definitely, if we want to do some trading or something like that, Monique, I'm all about that. That's fun. All right, back to other real regular stuff here. G saying Ibaka screwed up by going to the Clippers. I think he did too, but I don't think it was totally his choice. Like, I think that we were not going to keep him, and it didn't totally work out for him, stuff like that. Raymond Jacobs is here. Good to see Raymond Jacob. I think Ibaka is actually a lot older than he said he was, much like Boban and Hustle. There's been some speculation about that maybe Ibaka's lied about his age this whole time, that he's not actually the age that he actually is. You know what? Even though he was here and he's played on our team and stuff like that, I don't know. This could be true. This happens a lot with pitchers in the MLB, that there's they're older than they say they are because they want to keep certain level of eligibility and stuff like that. And it happens a lot with Cuban and Dominican Republic players and stuff like that in baseball. Let's see. Monique is saying the Miles Bridges thing is all over the internet. I can't even look at the pictures of it. Yeah, Monique, it's really ugly. And you know what? Kudos to his wife to have the strength to put him on blast publicly like this. And from what she's saying, this has been a very bad, toxic relationship for a while, and that she's been told to shut up for a while, and that kind of stuff has been going on for a while. The really good thing that's happening in the last day or so is that a lot of important NBA characters, like personalities like Richard Jefferson and different people, are coming out and shunning Miles Bridges for this. That there is actually people in the league that are saying he should never, ever play in the NBA again. And that's heartening, because in some ways they're right, that we should not be rewarding a man that is like this in his personal life and hurting his wife like this. In fact, I heard that he beat her up in front of their kids. So it's like it just gets worse and worse. And these guys got to have a connect in their minds that they can't just do whatever they want like this. That they're, like Montrez with the three pounds of weed or whatever. Not that I think that that's that important, but this thing with the domestic violence is very serious. And that maybe the NBA needs to make an example out of Miles Bridges this time, and that it will set a precedent for other players to think twice about abusing their spouses or other people around them. That this is not okay in society. Just because you're a big time NBA player and that people like you and that all this kind of stuff doesn't mean you can go and do stuff like this to your wife. So yeah, I'm really happy that there's he's getting a lot of criticism, and people are saying, no, this is not okay. And that's important, because I was worried they're going to sweep it under the rug. And it doesn't look like that's going to happen. We haven't heard anything happen with him in free agency. So it could be that this guy could go the way like a Michael Ray Richardson, that he could go away from the league because it's like a Richard Dumas. So yeah, it's this kind of thing. We'll have to see what happens. Click saying, if KD screws our team, Drake's going to drop a diss track. It might be fire. I don't know if it'd be worth it just to get a Drake diss track to go through the agony of the team having problems and stuff like that. But it would be the one plus if this is the situation and how it happens and stuff like that. But that's hilarious, Click. And I know you're right. He would do it. Monique saying, one more week until we see Ron Harper. So happy, so pumped. Yeah, Ron Harper Jr. I really want to see this. Oh my gosh, it's just getting harder and harder to make this Raptors team. Like, if I'm Justin Champagnie, I'm a little bit like, holy crap, am I even going to be on the Raptors this season? Because there's just so many new guys coming in and stuff like that. It's going to be so competitive. And Ron has got an even harder route now, like with Otto Porter showing up. And, we have too many players right now. I don't see the spots. Like David Johnson, I don't know what's going to happen with you, man. Like, honestly, seriously, I don't see any space for these guys. Isaac Campbell's here. Good to see Isaac. Brooklyn needs to deal with Kyrie Irving first before they handle this Durant reality. I don't see KD being traded quickly. Most teams don't have the space, and the Nets need to win. Now, they did deal with Kyrie, though. They re-signed it. Like, he did his extension with the Nets. Like he signed his extension, so he's done. And it would basically be now there. He's wanted to request a trade, just like Kevin is. But the thing is that there's no market for Kyrie. This is what he found out. Like he was going to opt out and get free, and then maybe go sign with the Lakers for like 5 million or something like that. Well, I think Kyrie and his agent gauged the interest around the league, and they found that it wasn't that good. So he doubled down and took the money, the big money, like Russell did from Brooklyn. Russell took it from the Lakers. Well, that's what Kyrie did. He signed his extension with Brooklyn, so he's done. He's done. They don't have to do anything else with him. He's set up, and he's going to be a net next year. And then that's when Kevin came out and said, "I want to get a trade." It's after Kyrie was tied up with Brooklyn. So that's where we're at with this. It's not necessarily what happens with Irvin at this point. It really is Durant, and that Irvin is not movable. That like the Nets may be trying to package Kyrie in a deal to send him somewhere, but nobody's willing to spend the amount to get him and what you get with him. Whether it's the whole vaccine status thing where he can't even play in Toronto, he couldn't play in a lot of their games last season and all that other stuff. Who wants to pay for that? So it's Durant. Irving's already figured out, and he's stuck. He's kind of in purgatory, just going to be in the Brooklyn Nets, whether he likes it or not. And in a way, that's dysfunctional and setting them up for a problem right away. That Kyrie does not necessarily want to be in Brooklyn, but he's going to have to be in Brooklyn this season probably because nobody else wanted him. So, and people want Kevin. That's the difference. Monique's saying Kawhi is officially 31 and now cleared for contact. Well, this is good. Kawhi needs to get back on the court and show that he is one of the best players in the league once again. We've all forgotten about him. He has not been a factor in the NBA scenery for a couple of years now. He needs to come and reclaim part of that. And I hate to say it for the Clippers, but it is what it is. He made that choice. But, we'll see how good they are with everything they do and getting John Wall and stuff like that. Monique's saying Chris Boucher will be 32 when he leaves us. Wild. Right? Doesn't even look like that old at all. I know. And he's awesome. He's in this point like in his life, I can tell, where he's kind of matured into he's very much an adult, but he's also very playful and has a childlike view of the world in some ways. And that's great because he can balance that. He can balance the wisdom and experience of being older as a vet with, still being kind of young and enthusiastic about life. And that is a great place for Chris to be. I think that this really is, like I keep saying, the next 3 years, this contract we just signed him on. And I love the fact that this is guaranteed. There's no player or team option on the third year. This is Chris on the Raptors this season, next season, and the season after that. It's set in stone unless we trade him. Boom. That is it. We're not going to have to worry about locking him up again next summer or the summer after that even. So it's awesome. It's awesome. I love it. I'm so happy Chris is back. And I know he's super stoked and happy to be back also. This team's going to be very, very interesting with all the different wings off the bench. We got some wing selection here. You want hot wings? You want medium wings? You want mild wings? You can get any type of wing in Toronto now. I'm telling you. All right. Monique's saying, so Devin Booker and Kendall broke up. We can always use that after what he did to the Raptor. Well, this is happiness for Phoenix Suns fan. They don't like the Kardashian curse. They don't like that kind of whole thing. And if they're not, he's not dealing with Kendall anymore, that's probably a good thing in some ways. It's sad. I know relationships end, stuff like that, whatever. But, this is happiness for Phoenix Suns fan. There's not the distraction. Maybe Devin Booker will have a really good year this year. Who knows? Click saying Otto Porter Jr. is the best shooter on our team. That may not be far off. I'd say he's in the top 4. I mean, I still think Gary's our best shooter. Gary is our best shooter. If you want me to do a power ranking of the Raptors shooters, Gary's number 1. I would say maybe Fred is second, and maybe Otto's third. Maybe he's Otto's third or fourth. But I think Gary and Fred are better shooters than him in general, like maybe just in stroke and stuff. But we'll have to see. It'll be very interesting to see Otto. He's got to make his shots and stay healthy. And because he could be a bust. I don't think he will be because he's a pro. And he's the kind of guy we can use him as we need to use him. He's not going to be demanded on too much. He can be. But if he isn't used that often, if he doesn't play for a game or two, he's not going to be upset. But he's also the kind of player that if he all of a sudden could come in and have a huge game and score almost 30 points and win a game for us. Like he could step up and have a badass game and be our leading scorer on any given night. Like the other Raptors are like that. Like it could be Precious's night. It could be OG's night. Well, it could be Otto's night now coming up in the season coming up. He could get real hot and be scoring a lot and all of a sudden have like almost 30 points and be our leading scorer for the night. So that's fun that have another guy that's in the mix that can take over and be he's not going to do it all the time or often, but there will be like 2 or 3 games this season where Otto Porter is the man for us. And that'll be very fun to see. All right, let's see. G saying Gary's new found defense is underrated. I think we have more than 2 million. I heard 8 million with some sort of other loopholes they can use. Yeah, Gary's so valuable. So valuable. I don't want to lose him in any kind of way if we don't have to. And then the other thing you're saying, yeah, okay. So there's other things with the MLE or maybe like loopholes you're saying that actually we can sign somebody for up to 8 million. Wow. That's really interesting. I wonder how that would work with the luxury tax and stuff like that, though. It may be that they want to be safe and not spend too much. I really think we have enough right now. Like if they made another free agency signing in the next couple of days, I'd be like, wow, we're really going all out. And we're getting like, especially if it's a name, like a pretty good name. Like if it's Mark Bryant or what's his name? Thomas Bryant. I said Mark Bryant because Mark Bryant's on one of these cards down here. He's from the Trailblazers way back. But if it's Thomas Bryant, hey, that might be good. And trust him aside. There'll be a reason why he's doing it. They're doing that. Let's see. Why did Devin and Ja get paid so much? Well, Ja, I understand why. Devin Booker, okay, sure. He's been an all-star. He's been a very important scorer in this league for a while. You know what? This is how it's going these days. These players are making so much money. It's crazy. And like it's weird in this world and stuff like that. But once again, these guys are in public life and everything about them is scrutinized. They are getting paid this huge amount of money. But, in some ways, it's not that I don't think they deserve it. There's people that are making way more money in the world that need more scrutiny and more of a light shine on them. And those are these billionaires that are CEOs of big companies like corporations. They're making like times 100 what these guys are making the NBA. And that we don't ever talk about them and that money being so gross and crazy how much they make. That the athletes are all in public and on TV and we see them and we get to know exactly how much they make. Well, we don't know about the CEOs of like different huge corporations around here and what they're making. And that's what I want people to think about when they scrutinize like the salaries in the NBA being so high and how do you guys make so much money and stuff like these guys are getting paid too much. Well, maybe they are, but the people that are really getting paid too much are these CEOs and these top level executives and corporations that are just giving themselves insane pay packages with golden parachutes and all kinds of stuff. Go bug them. Go talk about them because they're instead of making like 30 million a year, these guys are making like 300 million a year. And it's obscene and gross with the way the world is today. So that's the thing I'll say. If anybody's critical of NBA players making too much money in different ways, I always turn around and say, go and look at the CEOs and go get critical about them and how much they're making instead. How about that? So, all right, let's keep going. G saying Minnesota's salaries are absolutely insane. They're incredible. Like it's insane to have 2 guys like that, the same position on your team and that much salary tied up into the same position. Holy crap. And it may even be a position that's going the way of the dinosaurs in the league. That's the insane gamble that the Minnesota Timberwolves took yesterday by acquiring Rudy Gobert. Insane. Click saying because they are franchise players for the respective teams. Yeah, that's exactly why they get that much. Click saying Gobert and Cat alone is like $430 million. I know, insane. And they'll have to extend Edwards. And G's mind just went, he exploded. Click saying, I think they will trade D'Angelo. They're trying to trade him right now. And nobody's biting. Like, honestly, he's a garbage player. D'Angelo Russell's a garbage player. He was always overhyped. He didn't work hard enough. He didn't get better enough. He sucks. Let's just put it that way. He sucks. Monique saying, news and notes. Check out the VC show on YouTube. Episode 1, pretty awesome stuff with Roz. Okay, Vince Carter has a new podcast show on YouTube, guys. Go check out the Vince Carter show, the VC show. I haven't watched it yet. I probably will watch it just once. I'm just gonna say, as soon as he's anti-Raptors at any segment, at any point in there, if he slights the Raptors even just a little bit, I'm turning it off and never watching him again. That's what I got to do. So we got to see if he's Raptor friendly on it. I'll be cool with it. But if he's not, and he's being his normal, like I'm on ESPN and I'm an American. I'll talk down the Raptors kind of self that he has been when he's called games on ESPN recently, then I'm not going to want to watch his podcast. I'm sorry. I don't care what he has to say. So G saying Otto and Thad are key vets, high character as well. Exactly. They are very high character. These are the kind of dudes you want molding young players on your team. These are like way better than James Harden or Russell Westbrook. These are dudes that will mentor and actually get your young players better by being around and teaching them stuff. That they saw this about Thad. And Thad's overjoyed to be back with the Raptors. Oh my gosh, him and his wife, the posting after the signings, they've just been enthralled, blessed, so happy to be back with us. And I love that. And I think that this is the kind of thing that, like, Otto Porter Jr., like I said at the beginning of this stream, was the third pick in the draft in his year. And Scotty was the fourth pick. And that lottery picks can kind of sometimes mentor other lottery picks in a way better than somebody who may have not been a super high draft pick. And that in itself, that connection, Otto Porter, I'm sure Scotty saw that Masai and Bobby went got Otto Porter Jr. yesterday. He's like, wow, my team is good. Like, we are really good. Not only are we good on the court, not only do we have a good coach, our front office is badass. And I'm sure, because this is the way Scotty is on Twitch with team building with the NBA 2K. Is he really looks like when he's got his guys and there's like 5 of them, he got 4 of his guys playing. He's got 3 of his guys playing with him. There's 4 of them, and they need 1 dude to fill out the 5. He's looking through all the profiles of the Twitch player, the NBA 2K players near him, and he's really analyzing each guy for their skills and what they look like they can do from their profiles. So he's kind of doing a GM kind of thing where he's building his 5th player that he needs to fill out his team with his friends. So he's like, guys, we got to get this position. We need a stretch 4 for this, and he's like looking at him. Well, if he's looking at what Bobby Webster and Masai Ujiri did yesterday, he's got to be impressed because Otto Porter Jr. is a fantastic name. He's been in the league for a while. And I'll bet you Scotty is like seeing Christian Koloko, Ron Harper Jr., and Otto Porter Jr., and he's more and more confident in the Toronto Raptors organization than ever. That he sees this quality of guys that are coming in, the new blood this season, and he's probably really excited and enthusiastic about getting the opportunity to mesh and play with these new guys and to learn from them. So that's from Scotty's perspective. I could see him seeing the Otto Porter thing and being like, wow, and having a smile on his face and being like, I'm going to get to play with Otto Porter Jr., God willing, next season for sure. So Click saying, we're not ready to get the chip yet. Our entire bench is basically rookies and second-year players with Otto. I don't agree with this. I think we are. I think that we hit a weird wall last season in the playoffs that was just a bad injury bug, timing, matchup kind of thing. And it was kind of like Scotty needed his first experience in the playoffs. I think we're going to do way better than you think. Click, honestly. Like, I don't think that description of our bench is accurate. I think that we have a lot more veteran on our bench now with Otto and Thad coming back. That Chris has another year. He's kind of a vet at this point. We got to include Fred and Pascal as veteran kind of guys. OG, we are ready. Don't get it twisted. We're ready. We can go for that championship next year. Nick Nurse, that's the only thing he's trying to set us up to do. Why even do it? Why even play the season if we're not going to be trying to go all the way and win a championship? Scotty Barnes isn't playing for second place. We're a real contender. It's just whether the NBA wants to recognize it, the media wants to recognize it, whether our own fans want to recognize it. I recognize it, that we do have what it takes right now. And then, it may be that it's really dependent on how much the gains come with the young guys as the season goes on. But we saw such a crazy growth last year that if it's going to be a similar rate of growth and development with Scotty Barnes and Precious Achiuwa and Christian Koloko and stuff like that, we could get way better really fast this season. Like, seriously, let's see where we are at. after the first month of the season with the Raptors all completely healthy going into training camp and coming in like focused and gangbusters right away. Like, what if we win like the first 10 games of the season and we're like the dominant team in the NBA and everybody's like the Raptors are absolutely somebody nobody wants to mess with? Because we were already kind of that last year. And I only see it getting worse for everybody in the league other than us because of our long armed craziness and everything that we're doing and stuff like that. So I want to disagree with you here. Click on this. We are ready, and you might be surprised and shocked at how much ready. I think that's part of the reason why Otto came to our team is that he sees how close we are, and that he understands that he's a little bit making us even a little bit more closer by his presence being on the team. I don't think he would have came here if he didn't think we had a chance to win a championship. So Shane Waters is saying Otto Porter Jr. My heart loves this. I agree. He's a huge asset. Boucher, Precious, uh, Trent Jr. Two of them are gone for sure. These men bleed Raptors. This is where my spidey senses are going off. Okay, so you think because of all these guys being here that there's going to be a trade, and that was something I was kind of saying earlier. It's like because we have so many roster players, we need to trade like two or three of them for one guy and have one guy coming back. And then it's easier to make these roster decisions that maybe Masai and Bobby are getting a lot of guys more than we can have on a roster because they're setting up to make a big deal. So yeah, that may be the Spidey sense thing that's going off for Shane. And it is kind of going off for me also. Just from if I'm doing any Brian Windhurst deducting, like I might do this from time to time because he really did make himself into a legend on ESPN yesterday with the way he broke that Utah stuff down. Amazing. If you haven't seen it, go see Brian Windhurst from ESPN. And that clip that he did where everybody's just like hanging on his every word. And he's like, explaining how he figured out what Utah's doing is absolutely brilliant, really brilliant. And I think that people are right. If they say this man should just deserve an ESPY for his breakdown of this situation. Good job, Brian Winders. Such good job. That's the epitome of what these pundits and talking heads on ESPN should be doing is deducting it and getting us the information from their learned experience and understanding of what's happening and putting it all out there for us. I love that. That's so good. It was so good. All right, let's see. Tom Duke's saying, don't forget to like and subscribe, folks. So easy to do. Won't hurt your finger at all. Yes, please hit that subscribe button if you're new here. Alistair saying, bench getting deep. We won the East already. I like that. I like that prediction, Alistair. I think we could do pretty good in the East. People are really tooting Boston's horn because there are a couple of new players that they just got. And, it really is. Boston Nation's a little enthusiastic and happy about the changes that have happened with their team. It would be very interesting. Lion Hunter's here. Good to see Lion Hunter. People worried about losing Barnes for KD. Relax. Masai would never do it. Barnes is off the table. Considering he wants out, we have leverage. Trent, OG player, and a boatload of picks could do it. Lion Hunter's right. We have the leverage in some ways. We have leverage, just unspoken leverage, just in general, just because everybody wants our GM. Everybody wants our coach. Everybody wants our rookie of the year. Everybody wants our all NBA. Everybody wants our defensive stopper. Everybody wants everything that we have. That means inherently the Raptors organization has leverage in all kinds of different places. And that's a real position of power. And in that power, you don't necessarily have to use it. That's the other great thing about power. You can retain power by not using it and just sitting back and continuing to have that leverage and power and using it over and over again as the opportunities come. And that may be that this is not the opportunity we want to jump on, and it may be the next one that is similar to this. And we want to still have that kind of leverage built up in our organization. And I think we will. It's going to be fantastic. Things are so bright in any kind of way. This is people that believe in no lose scenarios are winning at life. It doesn't matter what comes their way. It doesn't matter what happens. It doesn't matter what they can't control. They control what they can, and they prevent and premeditate, and they get things good for themselves so that whatever situation comes, it's a no loss situation. They can win in any situation that happens. And that really is the philosophy of the Raptors organization in their front office is they make it so that whatever situation happens, they have a winning scenario for them in the outcome. And that I love it. I love this because it means that we can do stuff and we won't have any failure. We won't. Seriously, I don't think we set up for failure either way. Even if there's a fork in the road, we go one way or the other. We don't do anything, we're successful. That's a great fork to go down. We do take Durant. I think that that's a great fork to go down, and we win either way. So that's the way Raptor fans should be looking at it. If we don't do anything to get Kevin Durant and it doesn't happen, that's not a fail. That's not a loss. That's a win by not doing anything. But if we do, then it's a win also. So I like it. I like it. All right, let's see what else. Shane's saying I second that. Awesome. Yeah, I'm getting a few likes and watches and stuff like that. I Smoke Rocks is here. All right, good. All right, see, I Smoke Rocks. We always want a counterpoint. I hope you guys have a great 4th of July weekend, Raptor Freak and Rap Nation. I heard it was Canada Day yesterday. I hope President Embiid did something nice for you guys. I don't know how I got to keep telling I Smoke Rocks we don't have a president. And it's definitely not Joel Embiid. But if President Joel Embiid of Canada came here, I'm sure he would give us Philly's cheesesteaks, and we'd take one bite of them, and they would be such a hot mess of gross, watery mozzarella cheese and horrible, like crappy meat and a burnt ass bun that we'd like spit it out. Blah, gross. That's probably what President Embiid would bring us: Philly cheesesteaks, and we don't want them. I Smoke Rocks. You're awesome, man. Honestly, even though you're contentious with us, you know what? I'm actually starting to really enjoy your presence on the stream. I'm not gonna lie, because you do add something to it. G's saying, just got a report that Minnesota called about Durant, but Nets want Cat, so talk stop. Yeah, that's the thing. That's the other thing. Like, there's not a lot of teams in the league right now that have so much good stuff that they're willing to part there with their best stuff to send it that way. We do have that much good stuff. Like, we have such an abundance of pretty good players that we could get away with making this deal and it won't hurt us on a huge level. Like, that would hurt Minnesota, Cat for Durant. And in some ways, they really like, maybe Minnesota fans are really thinking about it. Like, well, maybe we get Gobert and Durant, and that might be something totally different with Anthony Edwards. I don't know. They're going through a similar thing that we're going through, obviously, probably, where they're like, I don't want to give up Cat, but it is Durant. It's like, oh, it's like you got the angel and the devil on your shoulders. You don't know which one to listen to. So, yeah, oh man. Monique's saying Nick Nurse and Greg Popovich have the best coaching tree. So yes, Lexus, keep going for the chips. That's what we really want to mimic. The San Antonio Spurs from the late 90s into the 2010s. We really want to be that team like them. That they were a great blueprint for the Raptors as far as things. Nick Nurse is Greg Popovich, and Scotty Barnes is Tim Duncan, and Masai Ujiri is also Greg Popovich because he was also the GM. That's great. And we can do this. And people in the rest of the NBA may laugh at me when I say that Raptors may have a dynasty in the very near future, but keep laughing and see what might actually happen. That if the Raptors have 3 to 5 championships by 2030, then you will understand exactly what I was saying now in 2022 and why it was a realistic impossibility. So, all right, let's see. Let's see. Alster's saying KD just got swept by on the Nets. Why would we want him? Yeah, that's true. But also, like I said, the Nets sold the farm to get that power structure with those superstars, and they didn't have any backup. He didn't have any bench or anything. He was really on his own. And that was against the team that did go to the finals and was a very important playoff team this season. But you're right. He just got swept. What does that say about him? Well, it says more about the Nets, honestly. It has to say more about the Nets and their poor organizing and building of a team around him is basically what I'll say. And Monique says, awesome stuff. I appreciate that, Monique. And you know what? Listen, seriously, you and I, we get together and trade some cards sometime. I'm all about that. I got some older cards that I will be willing to trade. Some of your extras that you have of newer cards, I will take them off you, especially if you got any Raptor cards. I would love to have some more Raptor cards. I have really old cards. I have like a Shaq rookie in here. I have like a Steve Nash rookie. I have some really good rookies. I have like a David Robinson rookie, guys. It's crazy. Like, I have a really good collection, but because I collected them in like 89 to like 92. I collected basketball cards. So all of my cards are all like Michael Jordan, Magic Johnson, Larry Bird, David Robinson, Karl Malone, Charles Barkley. I've got all those guys, like a bunch of their cards and stuff. So Monique, if you are interested in getting together and just having a trading time, you and I, sometime, my schedule is pretty flexible and I'm downtown, I can travel and stuff like that. I will come to you and we can do some basketball card trading. That would be a lot of fun. Maybe we'll film it and we'll do it a live stream on like YouTube. And we'll do trades. You and I, we'll talk about trades. We'll negotiate or something like that. That'd be fun. Alistair saying Miles Bridges is an idiot throwing his career away. I hope this is true. Like, seriously, he should, if he's an example and this makes a change as far as like the way we look at domestic violence with NBA players and them getting away with it historically, let's make this change now. And this is a great time to do this because honestly, the way the US is going is anti-women right now with the Roe versus Wade ruling and stuff like that. Well, the NBA, why don't you be a progressive entity and organization inside the United States and show that you respect and love women and that you will not stand for domestic violence in your league from a player and that there's zero tolerance and that you will make an example of Miles Bridges. That is what I like to see right now, especially with the way the US is going backwards with the Supreme Court right now. We need more progressive things to happen in other areas like this is what I'll say right now. G saying he choked her into unconsciousness and strained her neck muscles in front of the kids, shaking my head. Yeah, that's awful. That is absolutely awful. Tom Duke saying Richard Jefferson said Scotty wasn't the best rookie again for no reason. Also, Perkins saying Durant would want to go to where there is snow at this stage in his life. These guys don't know what they're talking about. Like, seriously, Dick Jefferson, obviously, like, he's supposed to be buddies with Scotty. He did the commercial with him. He's been his friend to his face, and he's turning around slighting him like that. Yeah, Scotty, don't listen to Dick Jefferson. He's not really your friend, obviously. And then Perkins is, you know what? I like Kendrick. He says a lot of good things most of the time. He's a good pundit. He's very good most of the time. But that's stupid. Like, why wouldn't Kevin want to come here? Like, seriously, these people don't understand how much Kevin Durant has a connection to Toronto. They want to poo-poo it and put it on the down low. This man was a Vince Carter fan and was a Raptor fan as a child. He loves coming to Toronto. When he's here in Toronto, he has a good time, and he's best friends with Drake. There's nothing about Toronto that is not attractive to Kevin Durant. And all of you people in the U.S. that think that there's something wrong with him coming here because maybe that he doesn't get along with the fans because we cheered that he got hurt or that it's too much snow or that he wouldn't want to play in Canada, you guys are fucking wrong. You're going to find out possibly that Kevin Durant has no problem coming and playing in Toronto and maybe trying to do something like what Kawhi did. I'm going to tell you that right now. Oh, yeah. These guys don't know what they're talking about as far as this. Tom Duke saying that's horrible. Jail for Miles. Yeah, I agree with that. Monique saying, can't agree more with you on David Johnson. Like, he's in trouble. Like, there's not any room for him on the bench. He was already right on the very edge of the Raptors roster. That, I don't see it. Like, I don't think I've heard anything about him and Justin this week as far as the restricted free agency. And then it may be that this is it. You guys got 1 year. You got a time to play and mess around the NBA. You got one game, David Johnson. You got to come in and play in the NBA, get your dream, and that's it. That's how hard it is to make this league, is that there's more guys coming in all the time, and they may be that much better than you. You have to be that much better and improve and really carve out your spot like Fred VanVleet. And if you don't get that opportunity, you may not. And you may not have that chance, and it just doesn't happen. And that's sad, but it can't happen for everyone. And that's just how it goes. I was just saying this dude could average 12 to 15 off the bench, average 8 on a deep Warriors team. They didn't need him. Yeah. Otto Porter Jr. is going to be a huge upgrade from Svi Mihalik. He's going to be a huge upgrade for our bench just in general. He'll be more dependable as a scorer. He'll be somebody that will get us baskets. I can't think of how many times we've played against Otto Porter in the last years and over the last 10 years, and he's annoyed the shit out of me because he's just like scoring so well against us and hitting threes and just being annoying. Well, let's have him do that for us now, because he can do it, and I think he will be a very consistent scorer for us. It's not like he's going to be the kind of guy that won't be able to score and will be in droughts, and he'll be adding to it. He's the kind of guy who will break these droughts for us that we had last season where we couldn't score a basket for like 5 minutes. Put Otto out there and let him try and score something real quick. and he probably will be able to. So Click is admitting that Gary is our best shot creator, but he doesn't necessarily think he's our best shooter. And that may be percentage wise. And I can get behind that. I think he's our best shot creator. Sure. Yeah. Monique saying, did anyone notice about last night? Nick Nurse used his plays tight, deep fence. Loved seeing that also. Loved hearing Eric Smith and Jonesy call the game. Yeah, that's what I'm hearing. That the Team Canada defense was very reminiscent of a Raptors style team defense. That Nick was running a lot of the Raptors principles and philosophies on Team Canada. And that's awesome. I mean, that's just his coaching style. That is the way Nick Nurse is going to coach. He's going to coach a certain way. And there will be parallels that we will be able to see between a Team Canada coached by Nick Nurse and a Raptors team coached by Nick Nurse. Very fun and cool. And I love hearing those guys. Those guys are radio guys normally, Smith and Jones. But, it's fun to see them on TV and get their chance to do that stuff on TV also. I mean, they're the ones next in line in a lot of ways. I know Jonesy's actually been around, but Eric Smith could end up being like a voice of the Raptors at some point or in some sort of way. Who knows? He's been with us a long, long time. Devlin, I like Devlin, and Devlin's around as long as he can be. But it could be that Eric Smith becomes the guy after Matt Devlin who is calling the Raptor games. I mean, I would wish that for him. He's good, and he's been with the team since almost the very beginning. So he has the right kind of perspective also. Alistair saying Miles is trying to get himself out of the league. Very simple. I don't know what he's trying to do. I don't think he would try to do this on purpose. I think that it's just ego sometimes that some people just get so big they don't even understand. They don't have the wherewithal to understand what they're doing in the moment and how much that could really damage and hurt them. And he lost his temper. That's a big problem. And that is, that he's going to pay for this, obviously, because he's getting put on blast and nobody's happy about this. He might be the example. Rahul saying Kevin Durant was in Brooklyn for almost 2 years dealing with the snow. Exactly. Rahul's right. It's not like there isn't any snow in New York City. Kendrick Perkins, you idiot. It's the same weather here as it is in Chicago, as it is in Cleveland, as it is in New York City. It's so stupid. Boston, same shit. It's like, so it's such a dumb statement. Rahul's right. G saying the snow narrative is so lame. It is. It's just lame. It's lame. Yeah, we got snow. Informa. The most I'm gonna be the man player. I got the boom boom now. We got snow. Yeah, we got more than one type of snow. We got the snow, and then we got snow. Informer. Yeah, go talk to Snow. Informa. The most I'm there. Under the boom boom now. Rahul saying I like Kendrick Perkins, but his takes are lame as hell. He's getting too sewered down in this fight with Draymond Green right now. Like, listen, Draymond is a player. He's a personality. He's outspoken. We already know he's an ass. But Kendrick, you are a personality on TV. You have journalistic integrity. Don't sewer yourself to that level with Draymond Green. Be above this. Like, sure, Skip Bayless is kind of his thing. His whole thing with Russell Westbrook recently is hilarious. And it's really kind of like and stuff like that. But Skip Bayless is supposed to be like this. He's like a Stephen A. Smith. But Kendrick, you're supposed to be a former player that's smart, understands it, and you should have more integrity and stuff that you're saying. That's what I'll say. And you shouldn't be getting into it with people like Draymond. It make you look bad. Draymond's gonna look bad either way, but you're looking bad because of it, Kendrick. That's what I'll say. Just get out of that mess with Draymond. It's not worth it. It's really not worth it. Click saying Kendrick Perkins said he won't want Toronto because it snows, even though it's summer right now, and that KD prefers a vacation spot like Miami or Phoenix. Yet Brooklyn gets pretty close to Toronto weather pattern. Yeah, it's like right now it's beautiful. In fact, we have so many NBA players in the GTA at this time of the year right now. It's insane. Like, we don't just have all right, the crazy thing is the Raptors are here. That's not normal. A lot of the Raptors are here in Toronto, have been the last couple weeks. Then we've got Dallas Mavericks running around in this city for no reason, like Jalen Brunson and Maxi Kleber and Dwight Powell were powering around here. We've got dudes coming up here. Tobias Harris is in Toronto right now, for Pete's sake. Why? Because Toronto's great in the summer. They know this, and that's why they're here. So anybody who thinks this isn't a destination or something like that, they're idiots. This has all been proven wrong. Rahul's saying, don't even get me started with Dick Jefferson. I don't think he watched the Raptors. I don't think he did either. He hates us so much. We battled him. He was part of those Cleveland teams with LeBron when LeBronto was happening. So he has a disrespect for us, and just from those years of playing us in the playoffs when he was on the Cleveland team beating us. So fuck him. Fuck Dick Jefferson. We don't need to listen to him. G saying KD prefers Miami and Suns because they were number 1 seeds. Laughing my ass off. He chose Brooklyn, snow and all. Yeah, I don't know. Like, honestly, I don't even know if he prefers those teams over us. Like, we're on the short list with them. Like, seriously, Toronto, it may be very equal between all of them. Like, when he's sussing it all out, he's like, well, the Suns have a great climate. They have this, but their front office is kind of garbage. And then Miami, I don't know what's going on with this team, but it is attractive. And I know that it would be fun and probably work out if I went there. But there's something weird going on here, too. But in Toronto, everything looks real good. Everything looks real good. And that may be what counterbalances the warm weather argument between those two cities and ours, is that there's more of a sure thing with our GM and our coach and our roster for Kevin out of all of them. And the other people that really understand the NBA and are astute about it, they're saying your best chance to win another championship, Kevin, is in Toronto. They would tell him that right up to his face. They say, you know that your best chance is going to Toronto. That you come to Toronto, you'll win a championship again, and that will help with your whole career legacy and the whole thing that happened just recently with Steph Curry getting another one with Golden State. That now Kevin needs to go out and get another one himself, and that Toronto may be the best destination, best possibility for him to actually get that to fruition. So that's what I'll say about the differences. And when he's sussing out, I think we're all pretty equal. Like if he's looking at Miami, he's looking at Phoenix, he's looking at us. I think they're all pretty equally attractive to him. All right, let's see. Rahul's saying Evan Mobley looked great defensively because of Jared Allen, and offensively he hasn't shown that many flashes. Getting back to what Dick Jefferson said. Well, listen, we're going to see Dick Jefferson is partial to Cleveland because he used to play for them. So of course he's in the Mobley boat. Of course he's going to say that Mobley should have won Rookie of the Year. He's fuck Dick Jefferson. I hate the guy. And what your point is, Rahul, is right. That Evan Mobley looked better because he was playing next to Jared Allen, and I agree with that. Monroe Josh is here. Good to see another new name. Josh, I'm here every morning, 9:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Please join us every day. Any day that you're free at that time, you want to talk live Raptors, we're here. He's saying KD wants more attention now. He's like Kyrie, just drama, and at times can be selfish. It's just about his image and numbers and wants the spotlight. Yeah. I mean, I don't know, and I mean, he does like he wants the accolades, he wants the attention to his career body of work, but I don't think he necessarily wants all the attention from the press. Like he said recently in recent months that he hates the New York press and he hates all this stuff and like how he gets treated and stuff like that in the press. So maybe if he comes here, it might be a little bit better for like being away from the NBA main USA media that's really all over the Nets and the Lakers. In Toronto, they ignore him. So maybe it would be good for him to come to Toronto and not get so much scrutiny from the US NBA media and stuff like that. Because we are a hiding spot. If you don't want to be paid attention to by the US media, come to Toronto, Kevin, because that's a great place to be. And as far as like things like, I don't know how selfish Kevin is. I don't think he's like LeBron in some ways. I don't think he's like Kyrie. I'm kind of off the different path with some of you guys today as far as gauging Kevin Durant and his characteristics and his personality. I think he's a real team player and that he is somebody that is authentically trying to win. So I don't totally agree with everything Josh is saying, but I know that, you know, the thing about him wanting attention and more to his legacy is definitely true. But I think the other thing is you're right. We'd have to worry about his usage. Like how much would he hurt developing a young player like Scotty because he needs the ball so much? And would he demand the ball a lot and be such a focal point that it would take away from our good guys around him like Pascal and Scotty? That's the things that I would worry about with Kevin Durant on the Raptors, depending on who's still here around with him if he does get moved here. Monique saying, so Lex, I've been going through our old videos you started 9 months ago. Congratulations. Been here day one. Yes, Monique, thank you. Yeah, I started in September last year, and I've done a stream every single day since September last year. I'll be coming up on a complete year. I think I've got almost 300 videos done in a row, 300 days in a row. That's going to be coming up real soon. I think it'll be in like the next 2 or 3 days. I'll have 300 in a row, y'all. So yeah, thank you, Monique, for recognizing that. It's been a grind. I'm crazy for doing this in the off season. I should have probably taken these months off to recharge, but I felt like the need was there. There's enough interest, and Raptor fans are hungry and voracious for Raptor information and what's going on, even in the off season. And then the off season is so active and there's so much going on that there has been enough content and enough to talk about, especially the last couple of days. Holy crap. So much to talk about. But I appreciate you recognizing that, Monique. And you definitely have been, you're not even here since day one, Monique. Like I said, you and I have been interacting on Facebook for how many years now? How many years have I been liking your posts and commenting, and you and I having back and forth? It's got to be like 6 years or something like that. That you and I don't know how long we've been Facebook friends, but it's been since the very beginning that you and I have been friends, is what I count. It's not even the beginning of this channel. You and I have been real ones and interacting for what, 6-7 years now or something like that, at least something like that. Alistair saying 10-man guaranteed unit. Fred VanVleet, Gary Trent Jr., OG, Scotty Roy, Pascal Siakam, Precious, Boucher, Thad, Otto, and Koloko. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Yeah, that's 10 guys right there. And you don't even have Malachi in there. You don't have Svi in there. That's 10 guys right there. That is a 10-man rotation roster. And every single one of those guys is really good. It's like this year, if we have any injury problems, knock on wood, I hope we do not, we will be able to fill those holes a little bit better and easier with better talent than last year. That when we got in trouble with injuries, then it meant like Yuta and Svi and those guys coming in and trying to pick up the things. Like if we get guys, God forbid, anybody gets hurt or anybody's missing, like we have a bunch of dudes that can jump in there and do it. You didn't even put Khem on that list, which is crazy, Alistair. So there's another 11 person on there. There's Khem Birch should be on that list. He's who we're sharing the love for today. We cannot forget Khem Birch, a great Canadian that I love so much and brings such a good defensive presence to our team. That, that's 11 guys. And then put Delano on there also. You got 12. You got 12, Alistair. You got what? Fred, Gary, OG, Scotty, Pascal, Precious, Chris, Thad, Otto, Koloko, Khem Birch, and Delano Banton. That's 12 players right there. Ron Harper Jr., 13. And then what? Justin Champagny, David Johnson, Isaac Bonga. I don't know. Maybe it's one of these other summer league guys. Who knows? If they get another guy like Thomas Bryant, we've got a stacked team. Oh, yeah. We're like 12 deep now at this point. We're 12 deep. If you put Delano and them on there, it's like Alistair saying, people don't realize we're going to be a dominant off the bat, 60-plus win season. I love that talk. Alistair, man, you are one of my kind. This is the way I overachieve. I think I say, like, let's set the goal up high. 60 wins this season. Why not? Why not? We didn't get 50 this past season, but if we get to 60 this year, that'll show that we are a dominant team in the league for sure. Monique saying, holy crap. All right, I'm going to try and catch up with all you guys. Fun fact, Raptors still have championship belt in the locker room from Triple H, and now they use it for Canada basketball after practice. So there's only one belt, and Triple H gave it to the Raptors. And it's something they use in training camp or in practice to give the award to somebody, whoever was the best person in camp for that day. They give the belt to them. So there's not a whole bunch of them. I asked Scotty this in the Twitch. This is a question I asked Scotty in the Twitch. I said, Scotty, those belts that you guys get in training camp, do you all get to keep them? And you have a bunch of them? And he didn't answer me. But now Monique is answering me. There's only one of them, and they just share it. And whoever gets it for that day gets to hold it and have the championship belt because they were the champion of practice or training camp for that day and stuff like that. That's cool. And they were using it at Team Canada practice. Maybe that's Nick Nurse's little subtle way of like trying to get SGA to the Raptors to say, look, we give WWE belts to our players in practice when they do really well. And SGA is probably like, wow, because honestly, I think he's a wrestling fan. SGA is. I really do. I think I've seen him at wrestling matches before and stuff like that. So let's see. Rahul's saying, imagine how much profit the Raps can make if they have Scotty and KD with Drake. Oh, man. I mean, listen, our team's already a good product and it's entertaining. People want to go see it. People are starved for it right now. They want to see the Raptors play. They're like the Beatles in some ways right now. It's like they just bring a buzz around them. They show up and then people are like, they're going crazy. That's the thing. You want that kind of thing about your team. And when you bring somebody like Kevin Durant on your team, that buzz gets intensified times 10. and stuff like that. So yeah, Rahul's right. They make it really an it kind of sports team in the whole world. It would make the team really like more of a spotlight. We'd get more media attention. That's for sure. The US would be paying more attention to us for sure if we had Durant on the team and stuff like that. So yeah, it'd be very interesting. I think the profits will be pretty similar. It may be that we sell way more merchandise. We're going to sell out the games no matter what, but we would get more merchandise sold with Kevin Durant Raptors jerseys. That's for sure. Rahul's saying the Raps can overcome the economic crisis by having KD and Scotty on the team. Listen, I don't know which economic crisis you're talking about. If you're talking about the general economic crisis around the world, if you're talking about an economic crisis in the NBA, if you're talking about any kind of economic crisis for the Raptors are not in trouble financially in any kind of way. We don't want any kind of economic crisis. But maybe the world is in trouble in general. G saying Hornets pulling the plug on Miles just came out. Okay, so they're cutting ties with him. That they seen the press, the TMZ yesterday with his wife and what she said in her statement, and they have snipped the clip. They've snipped those ties. And Michael Jordan, you're a smart man. You can do something interesting here. And in some ways, it's weird. I don't know. This is gonna be a weird year for Hornets this year. A lot of very, very weird. Yeah. Okay. Well, that's good to know, G. I'm glad to hear that actually. Now I'm sad for him because it's a mistake that's very grave and like very huge one for him in his life. But it's this kind of lesson that somebody needs to learn sometimes to become a better person for the future. Monique saying back to regulation of Khem Birch. Yeah, Khem, like honestly, seriously, if you guys see people talking about how Khem Birch isn't valuable to our team, we don't need to keep him anymore because of Christian Koloko, please just be a counterpoint. Please just argue the other way and argue for Khem Birch because Khem needs some of us to fight the good fight for him. Because he's getting like slighted in ways. And I hope he just cut all his social media off and he's just not even seeing any of this because it's not necessary for him to see it. He's safe. He's going to be fine either way. And all this is just noise and he doesn't need to see it or hear it. It's just negative and he doesn't need to see it. All right. Monique's saying the good thing about Otto Porter Jr., Raptors struggle with bench scoring, 46%. Correct me again, guys. 46% from the field, 40% from 3-point line. Yeah, he's going to instantly help like our bench scoring. And it's great that they got it so that he's still in that Venn diagram of being a long arm monster also. That, wow, I was really expecting them to get somebody like Wayne Ellington or something like that, a shorter guard swing that can shoot threes and score. But they went and got a long arm monster that can do it. Otto Porter Jr., who has the wingspan and it fits our mold as our team. And they also took care of the 3-point shooting and score kind of off the bench need the Raptors had. Kudos to Bobby Webster. You hit it out of the park. You did it all in one move. And I'm absolutely impressed. Isaac's saying, I'm excited to have so many veteran two-way players off the bench. Such a game changer for all those games we lost by 2 points or less last year. We just want to have good quality throughout the whole 48 minutes and not have to really pack mule these guys like for 45 minutes, the starters like Pascal, Fred, Scotty, Precious, Gary. We don't want these guys to overplayed. So now with Otto Porter Jr., Thad Young back, this 12 men that we just named, that's depth. And that should mean that none of these Raptor guys are getting overplayed or overused or overtired or just too many minutes like last season. And that may in itself show gains for the team as overall and wins for the season. That the depth throughout the whole team is way better and that our guys won't be so beat down, worn down like Fred was by the end of the season. So I'm really excited about that too, Isaac. I think you're right. And a key word that you're using here is two-way players. That's another thing on the download that Bobby and Masai have done with each of the moves they've done this offseason. Every single person they got, Koloko, Ron Harper Jr., and Otto Porter Jr. are two-way players. That they aren't deficient on the defensive end. That they offer good skills defensively for us. So that they're not a waste on one end of the court. So that is a fantastic way to build it too. It's like the prerequisites are long a wingspan. You have to be a two-way player. And bam, you get the flavor of Otto Porter Jr. that also can shoot threes and score off the bench. Fantastic job. Tom Duke likes my snow song, Informa. G saying we may need to dedicate another day to Khem or anyone. Laugh out loud, exciting time of the year with free agency in Canada playing. Yeah, I think you're right, G. I think that I'm just going to spread out the love for Khem every single day. Like I already do in some ways. You know that he's been a favorite of mine this whole year, that I've always touted how important he is for the Raptors and stuff like that. I'm just going to keep continuing doing it. I'm a broken record. Sorry, guys. I will continue to defend Khem Birch and talk about how important he is to the Raptors for as long as he's on our team. So that's just how it is. But I think you're right, G. He's not getting his just deserves for today. But then again, it's free agency. It's a flurry. There's so much to talk about. G saying someone who doesn't like the press should not be tweeting all the time, though. It's a weird mentality to continue to put yourself out there, but hate what comes with it. There's a weird thing in today's society. I had a friend from high school who was on Facebook with me for a while, and then we defriended each other because he was going on Facebook and putting political stuff out there and antagonizing people to fight him politically. And it's like he wanted it. It's like in some ways it's a high. Some people get a high off of that interaction, the clicks, the likes. They like get a high off of arguing and having their point, being a troll and stuff like that. Well, I think that part of it is that Kevin is getting off on being online and saying all this stuff also. He may complain about it and say, oh, I don't want all this stuff like that, but he also really enjoys it. And I don't know if that says something to his personality about maybe he's a little trollish in some ways. But yeah, I agree with you. It doesn't totally line up that, like, if you don't want all this scrutiny and all this media attention and stuff, like, why are you putting yourself out so much? You know, you could be like Kawhi and just shut up and stuff like that and be a lot easier. Cece's here. Good to see Cece. I love you, Cece. I'm always happy to see you when you pop in. I'm so happy that you are on every day, especially in the off season. I get my Raptor fix every day. Thank you, Cece. Exactly why I'm doing this. And not just Raptor content, because this is the thing. This whole time that's going on right now is real easy to get into weird, toxic places as a Raptor fan. And like some of the content that's being made about the free agency and Kevin Durant and stuff like that is toxic and messed up. And we want, as team fans of the team, that we're positive and we love the team and we want to care for and be appreciative of our players like Khem Birch today, Share the Love Club. You know, we want to counteract any of the other content makers that are in social media that are kind of putting stuff out that is demeaning or disrespectful to the players on our team. Like, you know, the way they may talk about Gary Trent and how they could just trade him so easily right now is insulting. And I don't want to do that kind of stuff. I don't want to talk about these trades in a way and like think that these guys aren't valuable or that they're not human beings that have feelings and wants and needs and they would like to stay here in Toronto. And I feel like sometimes content makers of Raptors content are not looking out for that enough, that they really maybe need to take the humanistic side of things with the players and realize these are guys with feelings and they think things and maybe they hear some of the things and maybe they feel sad about them. So I want to be the opposite. I want to be the people that support the guys that are on our squad. I don't care who's not on our team right now. I only care about who's on our team. And as that changes and morphs, that's who I support and stand beside. So as long as they're on the Raptors roster, I stand beside them and support them and wish the best for them and stuff like that. And I love that you're here once again, and count on me, CC, 9:30 a.m. every single day. Rahul's saying you try to collaborate with Chris Sports Corner. Chris Sports Corner, I'm not sure who that is, but I'll have to figure out who that is. Chris Sports Corner. I'll have to figure that out. You try to collaborate with Chris Sports Corner. I know that Nate Sports Corner. I've been following Nate. Shout out to sports fan Nate. A couple of videos out in the last couple of days. Big ups to you, Nate. Keep doing your thing, man. I'm a big fan. I enjoy your stuff. It's short, but it's good. Alistair's saying we are 13 deep. And 1 year we went from 8-man unit to another possible bench mob. And I think this one, like last year, we're saying we have a bench mob possibly last year. Well, we did not. We weren't even close to having a bench mob, but this year we may actually have that bench mob. Like, and it's weird because this bench mob won't be like the bench mob we had before with Pirtle and Fred VanVleet and DeLon Wright and Pascal Siakam. This bench mob will be all 6'9" power forward centers. It's like that's going to be our whole bench mob. Will be all like Thad, Chris, Precious, Khem, Delano, Koloko, Otto Porter. This is our bench mob. They're all super tall and crazy long arm guys. So I love it. I love that idea of a new bench mob, Alistair, a long arm monster bench mob that is all power forward centers and stuff like that. Amazing, amazing. CC saying, don't forget Khem had a tooth knocked out too. That's right. He had his nose punched in. He had a tooth knocked out. He had his knee all messed up. He had coronavirus. And he went through all this, and he still was such a solid citizen and great player for the Raptors. Y'all, give this man some respect and love. Khem Birch, we love you. A Canadian on a Canadian team. And like I said, he may be the first ever Toronto Raptor that's on our team that was a fan of the Raptors as a kid. That this was his team as a kid. He loved the Raptors. He was not the Celtics. He was not the Lakers. It was the Raptors were his team. And that we need to honor that as far as a milestone in our team history, that we're not a franchise team like a franchise that's so an expansion team, like from way before when he was watching us, that we've grown to the point where guys who were kids have grown up and they are now playing in the NBA and they're playing for us. That if Kevin Durant comes to the team, it's the same thing. He was a Raptors fan as a kid. And that we need to honor that like Khem Birch was a Raptors fan and now he's on the Raptors. That's a dream come true. And he's a Canadian. He's on Team Canada. There's what's not to like. Let's not throw any of this away. Let's keep this in-house and keep it together. That's why we love you, Khem, and we want you on the Raptors for as long as possible. CC saying, I watch every day here with the regular group. I'm not always in the chat. Oh, that's awesome, CC. If you're here live or if you catch me later, whenever you catch me, I appreciate it. I just appreciate it all. And if you guys do watch me later and you want to say something, even though you're not here live, if you comment, I will respond and talk to you even later on in the day if you don't catch me right away. Peter S. is here. Good to see Peter, David's brother. And I want to hear your opinions also as the brother of David, because David's always here. And I want to hear Peter also. Khem saying Khem is an important part of the team, and he adds a lot of value off the camera, like in the locker room and being a great teammate. Yeah, he's just an unselfish dude, almost to a fault. He's unselfish to a fault. And it's annoying. I want him to shoot more. I really do feel like he's unearthed in some ways. Like there's some offensive potential that he's not aggressively seeking that he has. That he has some offensive skills and he could score more points for us, but he's so unselfish. He passes off to everybody else around him. Khem, be more selfish this year. I want to see you make some baskets aggressively and show that you do have that low post around the basket scoring mentality with the little hook shots and whatever you're going to do. Because I know you got it in you. And we don't want you to be so unselfish that you pass up a really good fundamental shot just because you want to give it the next action. Because I know that's what Nick preaches in your practice. He says, next action, look for next action. And that's why these guys pass so many extra passes in their offensive sets. Is this the next action philosophy where you have a good shot near the basket, Khem, but look, there's Thad right next to you. Dump it off to him right next to the basket so he can dunk it. And that's what Khem's doing too much of. Whereas I feel like he has a really good shot already. He could have just made the easy short hook, but he's handing it off to Thad next to the basket and he's dunking it. Now, having such an unselfish player in the league, normally the problem is you got to get guys to be more unselfish, not being more selfish. And that's a good problem to have. It's like the opposite. Usually you're saying you need to pass it more. Well, with him, we're maybe telling him we need you to shoot more, Khem Birch. And that's crazy. Like there's not a lot of players in the league that you got to tell them to go and shoot more. And that's very rare. I love it. I love it. Rahul's saying he's on YouTube. Okay, Chris's Sports Corner is on YouTube. I'll have to check him out. I haven't watched him ever again. I'm not familiar with that channel. Fantastic job by our front office, by Alistair, saying that. Yeah, I agree. I agree. We're just showing that we're hitting home runs out of the park over and over again. CC saying Chris's Sports Corner recently changed his YouTube name to Top Blank something. Sorry, I can't remember the new name right now. All right, I'm going to go figure out who this guy is. And maybe I'll watch a couple of his content and just see who you guys are talking about. It's always good to have somebody new on my radar. Tom Duke saying, that's great and very telling that Lex doesn't know the other YouTubers. We get Lex's perspective here. I do like Chris as well. Great day. Yeah, you know what? I do know Greg. I know Chev. I know the Raptors Digest guys. I know Luca. I know a lot of the established guys and the guys who've been around for years. But anybody who's kind of new and up and coming, stuff like that, it's really is important for me to have my voice be freshly mine and solely like I don't want to take too much from other people and like be a copycat and sound too much like everybody else. And that's why it's like I'll just say what I see and stuff like that. But I'll check it out. Chris's Sports Corner. All right. I'll check that out. And David is here. So we've got both of the Saburin brothers. I know I'm probably butchering your last name. I apologize, guys. But yeah, he's here also. July 9th versus Philly. Let's go Raptors. Summer League action. Toronto Raptors versus the Philadelphia 76ers in Las Vegas. July the 9th. That is a great date. Looking forward to it. David's looking forward to it. Seymour saying, hope you had an awesome Canada Day, broski. I hope you did too, Seymour. I mean, whatever you got to do, however way you got to spend it, a day off, maybe with family, cooking out, having a couple brewskis, broski, checking out the fireworks later on last night, whatever it was. I hope it was blessed and just so happy, Seymour Pape. You are one of my favorites here. You are always often here, and I love you for it. Peter's saying Chris's Sports Corner doesn't even know what day of the week it is. Uh-oh. 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 Well, I do. I mean, today is Saturday Share the Love Club. And tomorrow is a Sunday report. And I put it into my content so I can keep track. Seymour's saying, I only listen to Woj, Raptor Freak, and Cairo. Oh, and can't forget Chef. I'm not sure who Cairo is. I'm gonna have to figure out who that is too. Wow, that's a great short list to be on. Woj is pretty dependable. Chev is the best. The entertainment value from Chev and just his rants and just the way he is such a great linguist with some of his words and he just throws in there and just the way he can go off. And yeah, Chev is a real one. And I love my connection to Chev is that he went to Tallahassee Community College, so he's lived in Tallahassee himself. He went to TCC. And he talks about it every once in a while on his channel. But I went to TCC also, and for just a little while. When I was in high school, I had some TCC classes and stuff like that. So he has a connection to Toronto, to Tallahassee, like I do and Scotty Barnes does. And now he's a Raptor fan in New York. And I don't think he's ever even been to Toronto. That's the crazy thing, that Chev may have never even been in Canada for all I know. I don't know. Chev, you need to come here. And I don't know. He's probably not even aware of my station or what I do here or anything like that. But if he did come here, I'd want to do a Chev Raptor Freak crossover for sure. It'd be so awesome. Tom Duke saying double Saborans in effect. Oh my gosh, Chris just got Saboran. That could be a good verb. What are you doing when you suborn someone? I don't know. David and Peter should tell us, what does that mean when you suborn someone? I have suborned you or something like that. Maybe it's like a diss, or maybe it's like something good, like you got hugged or something. Oh, you just got suborned or something. I don't know. I'm not going to put too much into that. Chev and Chris have not been to Canada. Yeah, that's what I figured, that those guys haven't been up here. Good to see you, Blackhawk. Monique saying, name a Raptor you would have lunch with. I mean, I've already been spending so much time with Scotty. I feel like I would get into a lunch with Scotty and already have a general rapport with him. That, like, I kind of understand his beats of like how he carries himself and like what he's thinking and stuff like that. It is going to be a really weird season on this channel, because in some ways, what I've been doing with Scotty on Twitch is I'm really psychoanalyzing him. And it's not because I want to like be weird or creepy. It's just that I really care about the Raptors and I want to know every single thing that I can know about our young rookie. And that the opportunity to watch him play video games on Twitch for hours on end is allowing me to have insight and access to him in a way that is absolutely insane. And that I really do truly feel like I understand his personality. I understand what drives him a little bit more. I understand why he thinks and does the way the things he does. And that this season is going to be very interesting to watch Raptor games with this new accrued familiarity with the psyche of Scotty Barnes from watching him play video games. It's absolutely going to be fantastic. And I'm going to have some insight that maybe other people may not have, just because I've been there on Twitch with him. And it may be like people like Doug Smith and Eric Kareen and Josh Lewenberg, they may know all this stuff from the interviews, but they're not in on Twitch with we are. And I'm in there and I'm seeing what's happening there. And that may be something very interesting about my coverage this season. in particularly with Scotty. Now, I'm hoping Chris will start twitching more this summer now that his deal's done. He tried to yesterday. Like I said, I think I sprung the Otto Porter deal on him. He didn't know about it because he got off the Twitch right after I said it, and he got on his phone. He started looking at it. It was really weird. Like I told Chris, I was like, Otto Porter's bringing the championship mojo to Toronto, and then Chris was like, he looked around and then he grabbed his phone. And he started scrolling. I don't think he saw it. He knew that he got signed yet. It's hilarious. Oh man. I would want to have lunch with Scotty just because I already have a familiarity with him, and he would be probably tickled to be like, this is a Raptor freak from your chat. He's like, oh, this is you, and he would be like, I know you from the chat. So that would be the reason why. I mean, Chris maybe second. I would want to have lunch with Chris Boucher also, but I would have lunch with any of the Raptors. I think it would be absolutely fascinating and fun. All right, let's play this. How about you guys put in which Raptor you would like to have lunch with in the chat? I just want to see who's different people's picks are. So if you guys, each one of you, Seymour, Monique, Blackhawk, Tom Duke, the Saborans, everybody, you guys put in which one of the Raptors would be your dream lunch person to have lunch with. That would be cool. Let's see. Seymour saying, I would do lunch with Nick Nurse and pick his brain. Yeah, that would be a great lunch. Honestly, hanging out with Nick Nurse would be just fun because he's just a fun dude. He's cool. It would be so fun to hang out with Nick Nurse and hear what he's saying. Rudy Gobert and Cat together is interesting. Seymour Pape saying, yeah, it's either going to be a big success or it's going to be a colossal failure. And I think the risk for how it will fail is really dangerous for the Timberwolves franchise, and it could be very bad. Monique saying, happy belated Canada Day to the GROAT. You're talking about Kyle Lowry. Happy Canada Day to Kyle Lowry, wherever you are right now. I have no idea what's going to happen with you for next season. Pat Riley's an asshole, but we named a road after you in Toronto. So you always got a place here in Toronto, Kyle. Don't worry. Seymour Pape is saying San Antonio, New York, Oklahoma City are all in for Victor. That's the name. Victor Wembanyama for the number 1 pick next year. That's the guy they're tanking for, Victor. And is New York really on that list, though? And is Oklahoma City? I say that San Antonio and Utah are for sure from what they're doing. But I think New York getting Brunson and maybe doing a little bit of reshuffle, they're not trying to tank. I think they're trying to actually win. And Oklahoma City is really high on their young players. They're going to be trying to win. They may just tank by accident because they're just young and they don't know what they're doing. So, but San Antonio and Utah are definitely tanking for Victor. Definitely. They have shown their hand that what they're doing for next season, and they're not going to be trying to win. David would have lunch with Nick Nurse. Blackhawk would want to have lunch with Masai Ujiri, and that would be awesome. Yeah, David's saying, or Masai. So you guys aren't even picking players. You guys, this is how badass our team is. It's like, listen, if you ask this to other fan nations, they would be picking like LeBron or like, Russell Westbrook and stuff like that. They wouldn't be picking the general manager. They wouldn't be picking the coach. That's how badass our team is. Everybody wants to have lunch with the team president and the general manager and the head coach. That's hilarious. Blackhawk wants to have lunch with Larry Tannenbaum. I know why that is. Blackhawk's probably like, I want a job. This is the man you talk to. He might hire you on right away. You go and have lunch with Larry Tannenbaum. He's the man with all the money and the power. He's like, I like you, kid. We need you. We need more people like you in our organization, Blackhawk. 2K, you're hired. That's why Blackhawks going right to the top. He's saying, I want to go have lunch with Larry Tannenbaum and see if I can get me a salary job with the Raptors. Yes, I like it. Peter's saying he would have lunch with Scotty Roy, so he'd give him a hug. Yeah, I'm with you, man. I'm with you. It'd be so cool to be hanging out with Scotty in person and see him. Like if I stood next to him, I want to see how tall I am next to him. I mean, I'm pretty tall. And he would probably still be like at least, I think he's going to be about that much taller. He says he's 6'9", and I'm about 6'4", 6'5". So he's going to be at least 5 inches taller than me. So he'd be that'd be fun and interesting to see. But yeah, Scotty Roy would be fun. Tom Duke saying Nick Nurse is a great answer, but I will have breakfast with Boucher. Try to fill him up on the pancakes and the maple syrup, 100% Canadian maple syrup on thick. And he might gain some weight if we hung out eating together. Tom Duke is thinking beneficial for the Raptors in all kinds of ways. He's not just thinking about himself and getting an opportunity to have a meal with a Raptor. He's thinking about how he can help that Raptor while they're having the meal by putting a whole stack of flapjacks right in front of Chris Boucher and saying, "You're not leaving until you eat all these, Chris." Tom Duke, you are off the chain and so much. Oh, you're so awesome. I love it. And I love all the little emoticons as usual. There's our stacks and there's our oil drums and maple syrup. So good, Tom. What a great answer. Blackhawk saying you want to have lunch with the shakers and movers, Godfather style. Exactly. He's right. He's right. It's like this is why some crazy idiot paid like what? $3 million to have lunch with Warren Buffett. This is what I heard. Somebody paid like some insane amount of money just to have a dinner with Warren Buffett. And it's probably because they see it as an investment and say, well, if I pay this much to go sit down and get his ear, maybe he'll tell me an investment that I can make that'll make me even more money than what I just paid to sit down and talk to him. Or maybe it's the kind of thing where they sit down with Warren Buffett and they're trying to get a job with him, like Blackhawk is with Larry Tannenbaum. I know I would if I had Larry Tannenbaum for dinner and he was my attention and he really wanted to hear from me. Oh yeah, I'd be selling me on something for something in the Raptors organization for sure. Yeah, Godfather style. I love that. Seymour saying Kyrie thought he was coach, GM. Oh my gosh, Kyrie. Listen, he can't be LeBron. I think it's hilarious that they would mend that fence and LeBron would welcome him to the Lakers if that could make that work out. But I think the problem is that the Nets don't like what the Lakers are offering for him and vice versa. Like, I don't think that the Lakers want to give as much as the Nets want to get Kyrie in a Laker jersey this season. So, man, these free agency dumpster fires are hilarious. And all I want to see is everybody just stay where they are and just be miserable. Like, Russell, you just stay right there in LA and be miserable next to LeBron. And Kyrie and Kevin, you stay together in Brooklyn and just be miserable together in that team too. And then everything will work out for this season because those two teams will be out of the picture and competing because of the dumpster fires going on and stuff like that. Let's see. Peter's saying Jeannie Buss, but only if it was 30 years ago. Peter went off the charts. Like, she's not in the Raptors organization. You want to have lunch with Jeannie Buss because you're thinking with your little head. Peter's going to try to get in the middle of Phil Jackson and Jeannie Buss and their relationship here. Peter shows up like Phil and Jeannie Buss are at dinner at some Lakers, like some LA like restaurant, and they're like drinking and they're having a nice time. They're in each other's life. Peter walks up and says, "Yo, Phil, get out of here. This is my seat." He like sits down. That'd be hilarious. Jeannie Buss, that's hilarious. That's a good answer though. I feel bad for her. She should be the one solely running that team. I mean, Rob Pelinka is not a good GM. They need to fire his ass and they need to get a better GM. And Jeannie, you know what? Listen, she should be the one who's the figurehead running that team, not LeBron, not Rob Pelinka. It's her team. It's her dad's team. She should be the one in charge. And she should have Magics beside her helping her do the job. And I know that's kind of been the setup already. But a lot of the things about the Lakers is all messed up because I think it's Rob Pelinka, honestly. Skater Dice saying, I need everyone to chat to pray for Celtics and Raptors to not get to KD. Here we go. Here's a Celtics fan from Vermont telling us, yeah, he doesn't want Boston to get KD, and he doesn't want us to get KD either. Like, that's interesting. Is it because you think we'll get better, or you think that it'll hurt both of these teams, or what is it? What is the reasoning here, Skater Die? I know that you're friendly from Vermont, and we're cool with you. And so, like, this is cool. I've got like 2 comments in a row right here. I've got Boston fan, and then I got Philly fan right in a row on the chat right here. Yeah. I mean, I don't really want him on the team at this point. I think he'll be more of a headache than what the good things that he'll bring, even though he might bring a championship. I think we're on our way to a championship anyway here in Toronto. And I think that Boston fan probably feels very similar in their position with things with their team, especially with some of the moves that they just made in the last couple of days, that Boston's feeling real good. And they don't want to shake it up majorly by sending Jaylen Brown to the Brooklyn Nets to get Kevin Durant in some sort of way like that. So I think that Toronto and Boston are very similar in this situation for the Kevin Durant sweepstakes. And that Boston is getting talked about a little bit, possibly landing Kevin Durant. But I don't think that's as realistic as Toronto. I'm going to tell you that right now. I Smoke Rocks from Philadelphia saying, I can relate because that's how it is in Philly. Everybody wants to hang out with Daryl Morey. He knows analytics. Daryl Morey. All right, listen. You guys are becoming the Philadelphia Rockets, and wasn't that where Daryl Morey was a GM before? It's like there's something weird going on here. It's like, listen, the Rockets, did they have a lot of success under Daryl Morey in the decisions he was making and the guys he was bringing in and having around stuff like that? No, they didn't. So what makes you think that if Daryl Morey is going to do the same kind of things in Philadelphia, that you guys are going to have any success there? And it is weird. He is acquiring a lot of former Rockets right now, like with PJ Tucker coming in there all of a sudden and stuff like that. This will be very interesting to see what Philadelphia is like next year. I have some hope for y'all. I seriously do. Like James Harden, I said earlier this week, he's somebody who's showing that he's a team player. But I don't know. It could go either way for Philly this season. It could be really, really good season for y'all. It could be a mess also. We're going to have to see how it goes and stuff like that. But that's interesting that you think everybody wants to have lunch with Daryl Morey. If we pose that question to Philadelphia Nation, who on the Sixers you would like to have lunch with, I'm pretty sure they'd start saying Tyrese Maxey. I'm pretty sure they'd start saying Joel Embiid. I don't think they'd say Daryl Morey. Come on, man. Nobody wants to go have lunch with Daryl Morey. Come on, man. Monique saying, I would have lunch with Chris Boucher. He's down to earth, and I'm down to earth, and I know him too well. Or Fred, but then I know this team. You know all of them. I know you probably talked to Chris Boucher before a couple times and stuff like that, Monique. So he's like, you could take your pick. It would just like, honestly, if Monique was at a table with Chris Boucher and they were hanging out, it would just be like they were friends and they were just goofing around and having fun, telling jokes and just having a good time. It'd be very laid back and casual. I know that's what it would be. It would be just pure laughs. It wouldn't be like something like, I'm all uptight and stuff like that. They would just be joking around and having a good time. I'm sure that's what it would be. Seymour Pape is telling Smoke Rocks to stop. He just put the stop sign up. He said, just stop, please. And he maybe like at smoking the rocks. Just stop smoking the rocks. Oh, my gosh. Tom Duke saying, Lex just suburbaned you, Peter. Oh, my gosh. I don't even know what that means. What does suburban mean? We're going to have to figure out what that means. Maybe it means dating hot GM women in the NBA. That's what you suburban. I suburbaned Jeannie Buss. Seymour Page saying Nick Stauskas moved to Indiana for Brogdon. Yeah, there's some moves. The Canadian guys have been moved around a little bit recently. Boston had to pay something to get Malcolm Brogdon to come to Boston. So that's interesting. That just put the Pacers up on their count of Canadians up over us. The Pacers are the team in the NBA that has had the most Canadian players on a roster at any given time now because they got Nis Stauskas and they drafted 2 Canadian guys in this draft. And they already had Duarte and they already had O'Shea Brissett. So now they have like 5 Canadian NBA players. They beating us. This may be something we need to go get that record from the Pacers back. The Toronto needs to have the most NBA Canadian players on a team at any given time. They broke our record right now, and that's no good. We got to change that back. Oh, yeah, we do. Because they got Stauskas now. They got Stauskas. They got Mathurian. They got their other draft pick. And then they got Brissett and Duarte. And now they have all the Canadians on their team. Seymour saying, who will win Rookie of the Year this year? Oh, man, that's a good question, Seymour. Obviously, I'm going to think it's going to be probably somebody from near the top of the draft. I don't have a lot of faith in Pancho just because he's in Orlando. I don't have any faith in Holmgren just because I think he's going to be a bust. So then, we start looking at the next couple guys. It could be that there's some sort of weird makeup Rookie of the Year this season that happens in Detroit. That Cade didn't win Rookie of the Year because of Scotty Roy last year, but they turn around and they give a Rookie of the Year to Jaden Ivey. Yeah, to the kid who just joined there, that he fell to Detroit, and because Detroit is going to be a fairly good team, that kid may be the kid who gets Rookie of the Year. So I'm going to be pulling straws. I'm just pulling them randomly. I haven't thought about this at any point until just now. You bringing it up, Seymour. Then I'm going to say that it could be that young kid, the highest draft pick for Detroit, that ends up getting the Rookie of the Year next year, partly to make up for Cade and partly because they want to recognize Detroit is an up-and-coming team that's going to be very good and that this kid is going to be a star. He's got some really interesting skills, and he's very good. So I think it might be the Detroit kid. I'm not sure. There were so many Jadens and Jalen's and stuff. I'm not sure. Is it Jaden Ivey that got there. Yeah, Jaden Ivey. I think that's who it is. All right, let's see. Tobias, you have retracted your statement. I wish you would say something else, Tobias. And are you Harris? Are you here in town, Tobias? Peter's saying Morey knows incorrect analytics. He thinks Harden is still good. Yeah, exactly. It's like he really has his favorites. That's for sure. Tobias saying, since I didn't hear your comments yet, what do you think of the Porter signing? Tobias, I think it's a home run. I'm so happy with it. Honestly, when I was looking at the possible mid-level exception targets that were still left yesterday afternoon on the stream yesterday, I was like, man, I didn't even think about Otto Porter because I just thought it was a given that Golden State would tie him back up and keep him in the fold on their team. Well, I was wrong. Apparently, like I said, I've kind of thought that maybe Thad Young was on the phone talking to Otto Porter as a former teammate of his in Chicago for 2 years, saying, you know what, Toronto's got it going real good here, and I'm coming back, and they got something really good going here. You should come here too. And then Otto's like, my wife is like from Toronto, and like this is a good fit in a lot of different ways. And I want to go try and challenge myself somewhere else. That it's just a badass home run. Like, I didn't even think he would be available to us. The fact that Otto Porter Jr. is going to be on the Raptors next season is astounding to me because it's like I said earlier, Tobias, I'm repeating a little bit for people who have already been here, is he actually gets some of what we needed off the bench for scoring and three-point shooting in the form of a long arm monster and a two-way player that we love and covet on this team. So he checks so many good boxes as far as a vet presence, a good character guy, a guy who's got a wife here in Toronto, a guy who's played with one of our other vets for 2 years already and can add to that veteran brain trust and like teaching and our young guys and stuff like that. So it's all around just a huge home run. In fact, I'm just as excited about this signing as I am about Koloko. And I'm super excited about Koloko. So there you go, Tobias. That's it in a nutshell right there. Monique is saying news and notes. Nick Stauskas is expecting a baby. Well, he was a Celtic this year, so I don't give a crap about that, Monique. No, just kidding. Congratulations to Nick Stauskas, a great Canadian basketball player. Monique saying new name, Canadian Pacers. Yeah, they might have to be. Like they had on their Instagram yesterday, the Pacers were really celebrating Canada Day yesterday. And they should. They should. It's awesome. Peter S. is saying the 6th overall pick, Shaedon Sharpe, is who he thinks will be Rookie of the Year. Yeah, he's a possibility. That'll be interesting. That's who Seymour's rooting for. Shaedon Sharpe, first Canadian Rookie of the Year. He's rooting for it. We'll have to see that. Yeah, see, Jaden Ivey's the one that I think it'll be because he's got a certain flashiness to his game and that he's going to be going to a team that isn't going to be like a lottery team. That Oklahoma City, Orlando, Houston, these teams may be garbage this year. Like Jabari Smith could play really well for the Rockets, but they may not be a good team, and that could be a factor in from what we saw last year with Scotty and everybody. That the team that actually is doing well and isn't going towards the playoffs, which probably will be Detroit, out of all these higher drafting teams, is going to get better consideration, and that's why I think it might be Ivy. Is that it's Ivy that may win the Rookie of the Year. That's who my early pick is, real early. Seymour's saying, you're saying Mathurian. Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, I don't know. Indiana is going to be definitely in a rebuild, and I don't think they'll be a very good team next year. So once again, just getting to my point that I just made, these teams that have high draft picks, like lottery picks that are bad, they hurt their Rookie of the Year chances unless that player is just absolutely insanely head and above everybody else in the rookie class. But if there's some guys that are comparable, then he'll go to the guy like Scotty Barnes that was on a team that made the playoffs and did really well. And from what I'm looking at and forecasting, Detroit Pistons will be making that leap into being a playoff team this season. The things that they've done this offseason are just too good. They're going to be a very good team. They were already a scary team, obviously, to us. But they're going to be even better this season coming up, Detroit. And because of that, that's why I think Jaden Ivey will win Rookie of the Year. And because of making up for Cade last year also. So let's see. Tobias saying, I finally found you again. Oh, awesome, Tobias. I'm so glad that you did. Just hit that subscribe and know that I'm here every single morning. You can find me. Yeah. No, Peter means Sharp. He doesn't mean Ben Mathurian. He means Shaedon Sharpe also. Okay, guys. All right. I'm at 3 hours exactly right now. I'm going to go ahead and wrap up right now. Let's see. Monique's saying, Lex, I saw Nick Nurse shooting video you mentioned. Oh, it's an app. Yeah, it's an app you can put on your phone to help you learn how to shoot better. The Nick Nurse shooting app. Go out and get it. Even if you don't shoot basketball, maybe you're just such a Raptors fan, you got to have the Nick Nurse shooting app on your phone just to have it. Maybe you use it for when you're throwing paper out in the waste paper basket at the office. You're getting your technique down at your 9 to 5 from the Nick Nurse shooting app. I can't highly recommend this Nick Nurse shooting app more than enough. That's my advertisement for today. Get the Nick Nurse shooting app on your phone, even if you don't play basketball or anything like that. Just get it. All right, y'all. Thanks again. Share the love club. Khem Birch, a true Canadian hero, a Canadian great, a guy who's on Team Canada, a guy who was a Raptor fan as a kid, who drove from Montreal to the Air Canada Center to go to Raptor games. He's a real one. So put respect on his name when you speak him in his circles on social media. Stop suing this man. He is not expendable because we got Christian Koloko. Christian Koloko needs to learn from Khem Birch, learn the secrets of how to seal out around a low post defense and make sure the other team cannot score near the basket. That Khem Birch is the best person on the Raptors roster at stopping people close to the basket with a defensive seal. So this is why he is so essential to our team, and fight that fight for him in any corner on social media that you see him getting slighted. Oh yeah. All right, guys. Thanks again. Thanks for being here with me for 3 hours of the Share Love Club. Fantastic day in Raptors history yesterday. Otto Porter Jr. and all the great stuff. We'll see if a big move gets to happen in the next couple days. I want to see what happens with Kevin Durant. Until he is figured out, I don't think anybody should really rest and be perfectly like, okay, this is what's happening, because we don't know that these guys could do something really big and huge and crazy still with Kevin Durant in a deal. So we need to be ready for that just in case. But we should all be very happy if nothing happens and that things just coast and go the way that they're already going with the status quo. All right, y'all. Thanks again. Hit that subscribe button. And tomorrow we'll have a Sunday report for you. I'm not exactly sure what the subject matter will be right now. I'll figure it out tonight and get the information together to have a good show tomorrow. Thanks again, everybody. Have a great day and enjoy your weekend. Get out there and touch grass, as Scotty Barnes would put it on his Twitch stream. You need to go touch grass every single day. It's just good health for your life to get outside and get in the grass every single morning, every single day. All right, y'all. Have a good day. Let's go, Raptors. Let's go. We are automatic. It's automatic.